Alrighty, welcome to episode 137 of TOCWA's Ask Us Anything. As usual, it's been a pretty busy news week. Synergy has officially opened its first WAEV network site in Geraldton, along with the Northampton site 50 kilometres to the north. The remaining 47 sites are expected to be completed within the next 14 months and are said to comprise Australia's longest contiguous string of fast DC chargers. Tesla has begun deliveries of its much anticipated Model Y performance vehicles in Perth. Given the significant resources at Tesla's Osborne Park Delivery Centre, the vast majority of 85 performance deliveries are expected to be completed by the end of this week. Tesla's new delivery centre in O'Connor is expected to become operational later this year. The 19,400 square metre site, situated at 146 Carrington Street, is nearly twice the size of Tesla's temporary Osborne Park delivery site and 10 times the size of its service centre and showroom. And that was this week's news. Alrighty, so I thought I'd drop the mic at the last part of the news, but we'll talk about that a little bit later, since we actually do have Sandra Jerry from Synergy, and she is Synergy's discovery and design practitioner. And she's going to talk to us about the awesome event last Monday. And while she gets ready to do that, I'm also going to get ready with the PDF document that Sandra needs in 2 seconds. Alrighty, Sandra, the floor is yours.
Can you see my presentation now?
You've got mine on. I've just shared it on the screen.
Oh, you share it.
Yep.
Less IT for me. That sounds good. Cool. All right. So you're gonna push the button to go ahead.
Yep.
Harold,
I'll be
sorry.
pushing. I'll be the button pusher.
Nice. Hi everyone. As Harold said, so I'm working for Synergy on this WAV network project for about 2 years. I'm just gonna give a quick snapshot. Sorry for those of you who were at AVA last night, because it's exactly the same presentation. So feel free to interrupt at any time, or if you have any question or concerns or comments, feel free to let me know. Thanks, Harold. I'm not going to come back on the background, so you can go ahead until next big one. Just an update on this map. So that's the map of the whole project, all the locations where we're going to install the chargers with Horizon Power. And one of the things that has been updated is that now, if you go on the Synergy website, you can see that it's becoming green as soon as the chargers is getting live. So that's the only difference. So you can see now that Geraldton and Northampton are live. So that's the first 2 out of 49 locations. And in the Swiss, which is the dark blue part, which is Synergy Land, we have 22 locations, so 20 to go. The key milestones, so we already talked about the hardware coming from JetCharge. The network is provided by ChargeFox. The name has been chosen, WAV network. But the most exciting part is that we have started construction, so civil works, Synergy civil works, in 6 different places: Albany, Manjimup, Williams, Walpole, Lenzlin, and Joyon Bay. So some of these sites had more advanced than others. For example, Lenzlin and Joyon Bay can be quite further just because of Western Power Works. So it has started, so it's very exciting. While Albany, Manjimup, Williams, and Walpole, we are expecting them to be operational in the next 2 months. I'm not going to come back on how we get there, but it's a long process. And this is just a quick snapshot of the 22 locations I was talking about. So that's the 22 locations Synergy is in charge of. And it's to give you a bit of an idea of where we are at and all the main milestones that we need to reach out to be good to install the charger before we can install the charger or do anything about it. As you can see, it's getting greener and greener every time, so that's positive. I guess last time I talked to you guys, Hayden was a white line. As you can see now, we have found the site and we have started the DA application last week. So it's in progress, which is really great. Some of them are a bit blocked, like Jerramangap, because we really struggle to reach out to them. And some of them are backwards, like Kalgoorlie, because while they ghosted us for about nearly 10 months, while we were just gonna sign the bloody license after a year of negotiation, they ghosted us for like nearly a year, and now they want to change the site location. So we are back to square zero. But we found another site which will be 30 meters south of the initial one. And so hopefully we will be able to fast track now that they have already seen the license and so on. I'm hoping to catch up on this one. But it's a very interesting learning curve to work with the LGAs, because some of them, even though they are very proactive at start, sometimes it's so much depending on who is working there. And like people can also drop off. And if it's the case, in general, you go back to square zero. So yeah, there's all of them are very, very different constraints, different challenges. And yeah, it's a massive learning curve that we are trying to share as well with organizations like WALGA, the Western Australian local government authorities, so that they can help other LGAs that wants to put chargers in place, so that they don't, I guess, they don't fall in the same pitfalls that we have met during this process. So yeah, is there any question at this stage or any comments? Or I can't see you guys, so please, yeah, I can't see any of you, so.
Oh, no
Very
questions.
quiet. Cool. Next.
We
So,
did warn you
a
about
bit-
the local governments.
Sorry, Peter.
I think we did warn you about the local governments. They're not the best party in the world to deal with. We all have the same frustration, I can assure you.
Yeah, it's really depending. Like some of them are really proactive. It really depends on the person, I think, you know, that it's such a human factor. It's a bit the same for this project, to be honest with you. Depending on who we are working with, you know, some people are very dedicated to what they are doing, and some are a little bit less interested. And yeah, it's really human factor. So it's we have the whole scope, you know, we have the whole range. From completely very dedicated, very proactive, very efficient, very excited, to like, you really wonder if they are even working every now and then, you know. So like it's, yeah, you really have the massive range. So.
Cool.
So a bit of information on the site details. Most of you have already seen the 3D layout, but now we can put the real layout next to the 3D layout, so it's a little bit more exciting. So the site that you see here,
We've lost you.
and at least, and it is one
Oh,
DC
Sandra, just
charger.
repeat what you said. Sorry about that. We just lost you there on the
Sorry.
internet. Just if you can just say that again, please.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, gotcha.
Sorry. So yeah, this is the most common layout that we will have throughout the project. So as you can see in Northampton, you will have what we call a universal bay, which is the yellow bay here, in which we are putting the fast charger that contains 2 hoses. So you can charge 2 cars simultaneously. It's a 150 kilowatt fast charger. The brand is Kempower. And so that's why on each side of this universal bay, you will have a bay to charge your car. And then in front, the little things, green things, little pole, no, not this one, the other one on the universal bay still, thanks. This is just a payment facility. So that it will just allow you to pay with a credit card if you want to. I will show you later. I have another picture of it, but it's just to give you a bit of an idea of what most sites would look like. And then what you were pointing after on the right inside, Harold, yes, thank you. This is the AC charger. It's a ChargeMate. and it's 7.6 kilowatts, and you need to bring your own cable to use this charger. Just to give you an idea, and the branding, as you can see, the bay painting is very, 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 I guess, standardized. It's not branded at all, WAV network or whatever. We really followed the recommendation from Main Roads. So we are trying to standardize it as much as possible. So that's Northampton. And the other one, when you are driving in, the other layout when you drive in is this one that you can find in Geraldton, where you will have 2 times 150 kilowatt DC charger. Once again, I'm only talking about the chargers on Synergy Land. I'm not talking about the Horizon Power, which will be different because they don't have access to the grid as much as we do. But for this configuration, so you have 2 DC chargers that are on the curb. You still have a universal bay to allow to more space. So it's not a disabled bay, but we have tried to put what we call universal bay to allow for more space and hopefully to help with disabilities. And once again, this DC charger allow to charge 2 cars simultaneously. So 150 kilowatts then becomes 75 each. And the the payment facility is hidden somewhere between Harold and Kelly, somewhere there. Not sure. So that's for the drive-in option. And then I don't have examples yet live, but hopefully next time. This is the 2 drive-through layout possible. So in line or in a square. Thanks, Harold. Is there any questions so far? No, we're good. All right, so the hardware, so there is 3 pieces of hardware. So on each site will have 1 DC charger of 150 kilowatt, as you can see on the right-hand side, every site. And then on the side, the second charger, the backup charger, will be an AC charger of 7.6 or another fast charger of 150 kilowatts. But for the sites that have 2 fast chargers, there won't be a third AC charger, as I have read on social media. So it's only 2 chargers per site, at least 1 DC per site, if that makes sense. And in the middle, this is the payment facility, so you can pay with your credit card. It's just a tap and go, very easy to use. That's the selection criteria. We already talked about it. We have selected the site for a lot of different reasons, but one of them being close to amenities, quite secure to charge at night, so there's enough light, if possible CCTV, obviously close to high voltage so that it doesn't cost too much in network augmentation, because even when we are close to high voltage already, the network augmentation costs are definitely superior to the chargers. And yeah, we always try to stay on LGA land, which is very, very complicated as well, because the laws around the land haven't catch up with the technology. So we definitely have a lot of work to do on there. So I talk about how to pay. You can use the network, ChargeFox network, through your app as usual, or your RFID, or you can use your tap and go. And it will cost you 60 cents per kilowatt hour for the DC charger and 35 cents for the AC charger.
If there's support with the payment system, does it default to fee or no charge?
Again?
If there's a fault with the payment system, can you still charge if there's a problem, or
yes.
you just?
Yes, you can still charge, and if for example, if you don't have reception, it will keep the memory, and as soon as the reception will be back, you will be powered.
Yep.
But yeah, you can still charge. Yeah.
Sandra, I thought it was a 2-minute window during which time it would try and establish comms. And if it couldn't establish comms, then it would go to free vent.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's my understanding as well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's really really important. You know, if there's a hurricane or a flood or a fire, and you know, the first thing that goes down is the mobile network. So to be still able to charge is really important. It's a great feature.
Particularly on Horizon Power, because you know they have places that are so remote. I think it will be less of a problem for us, to be honest with you. Also because we put quite good connection and SIM cards and blah blah blah. You know, like the comms are pretty good, but yeah, I think it will be definitely more of an issue for Horizon Power. So that's great that we can still use them.
Yeah. Is the payment system operational? You know, your credit card, debit card, is that actually operational now?
Yes, it is operational. However, we have seen a few little bits and pieces, but it's more like few little issues that we are still working on, but it's not affecting the customer. It's affecting Synergy or ChargeFox.
Thanks.
So yeah, you can use it like Harold has used it, and I'm pretty sure Pete, you tried it as well. But yeah, that's just, I think you could start your charge and so on, but then when you wanted to stop your charge with the credit card, it was putting an error message. But that didn't affect the charging and so on, because you were still able to do it on the charger itself or on your app, so or with your RFID. So yeah. Well, we are working on this. I think that's a good point that you are raising here. I think, you know, like the sites in Geraldton and in Northampton Forest are really our guinea pig. Obviously, they are the first site, so we are discovering a lot of little bits and pieces. You know, the integration between the software, the hardware, all these things. You know, because it's all well and great when you read it on the paper, but even seeing the charger live, you know, it was another piece of work than what you read on the instruction and things like that. So it's great to have our hands on it. And because the minister just said that everything will be delivered Q1 2024, the fact that we're able to roll out like that progressively, I think for us it's great, because it gives us a bit of buffer to find out as well where comes the issues, and, you know, just try to have a better network from Q1 2024 when everything will be live. So hopefully we are going to learn quicker and quicker every time, and so we are going to gain in velocity as well. This is the idea, because we need to become much quicker now to install all these chargers. Is there any other question before we go to the video? So now it's just a quick video that will more or less give you the same information I just gave you, but with an Australian accent. You go, I'll let you do the IT this time.
Synergy and Horizon Power are working with the state government to create Australia's longest stretch of electric vehicle charging stations, also known as the WA EV network. Once completed, EV drivers will have access to 98 EV charging stations across 49 locations, from Eucla at the South Australian border to Kununurra in the far north of Western Australia. The majority of these charging stations will have one DC fast charger with 2 outlets capable of charging 2 cars simultaneously, a separate backup AC charger, and an EV charge payment kiosk. The charging stations are managed by ChargeFox, and Synergy recommends customers download the ChargeFox app via the Apple or Google Play stores. EV drivers can then see information about the EV charging stations, along with details about charging speeds and plug types. They can also pay through the app, or order an RFID card for use on site. Alternatively, customers can download PlugShare, a third-party open-source app which has a journey planning feature, highlighting nearby charging stations. The WA EV network infrastructure is managed by ChargeFox. Customers who have queries or issues related to the charging stations should be directed to ChargeFox as the first point of contact. ChargeFox will triage the issue and send to the correct people to review, including Synergy if necessary. More information and FAQs on the EV charging network can be found in Kaana. The WA EV network is one of the ways Synergy is helping to fulfill its sustainability goals and provide the people of WA with the energy they need for an intelligent tomorrow.
Sound better in French.
Thanks, Jared. I appreciate it. I agree with you.
Problem.
I won't be redundant yet. And talking about the engagement, so that's really the update there, I guess. We have been very, very busy, obviously, through the commissioning 2 weeks ago in Geraldton, where Harold came as well to help us out. But also this weekend, where we went, there was the official launch on Monday, but we took the opportunity to leave on Saturday morning. And as you can see on the top right, the whole crew, Tokwa/AEVA, came with me. I was the only one from Synergy, and the whole crew came with me just to talk about EVs in general and the WAV network to people at the art festival in Lenslean. That was occurring on Saturday. And the funny part is that this art festival was just in the park, in Wangari Park, which is the park that is just in front of where we're going to put the charging station. So it was absolutely perfect for us. Really good engagement with a lot of different people. And as you can see on the left picture, we were able to park few of our EVs there just on our bay because the civil works, as I said previously, the civil works in Lenslean have already started. So you can see the 3 bays and the universal bay in which we're going to put the DC charger later on. So it was the perfect place, perfect everything except the weather, but perfect everything. So yeah, thanks again to Tokwa and AEVA for coming with me on this day. It was good fun. And on the below one, it's another collaboration between Tokwa, Synergy, and AEVA, and it's in Geraldton Market because on Sunday morning there was Geraldton Platform Market. And so we thought it would be there again, a really good opportunity to engage with local community and talk about EVs and talk about the WAV network since the 2 chargers were live in Geraldton. And there as well, a lot of people, a lot of interest. Yeah, it was really, really great to have this collaboration. So a massive thank you to all of you that came along and share your knowledge and your passion with me during this event, because it was, for me, this is even more important than any official launch because that's where you really connect with people. I think, Pete, you managed to sell a few cars as well, isn't it?
I think we all did.
And yeah, our first fully operational site in Geraldton and Northampton, and Monday morning was the official launch where we had politicians and as well as the general managers from Synergy. So you can see the lady that is pointing on the map is Lara Dalton, who is a MP for Geraldton, and some of the Synergy crew and Horizon Power crew, and the general manager, Jason Froud. So it was great as well. It was good fun. I think they learned a lot as well. I got a lot of interest from Jason as well. I think he really saw, I think it's going to be a very positive because he saw so much, I guess, how much we gain in collaborating with external parties like Tokwa and like AVA. Like, he was so impressed by our collaboration. I think he's very well, I had a chat with him and he's very willing to reproduce this, even though it doesn't have to be so big and so official, but he really saw the interest of having customers and you know, other people getting in and the value of it. So that was very, very positive for me, and even asked me if I can organize a drive test because he was quite gutted. He had to leave. He couldn't even get in the car and have the fun part of it. But it was a great launch. I don't know what you are looking for, Harold.
It's cool. I'm just spooling up the video for the
I'm
actual
worried
launch.
now.
No, it's all good. Okay, so sorry, Sandra. So in that
No, you go.
in that slide, you had the 7 U's. So if you like, I can try and
yes.
play that now.
Yeah.
First
Yes, thank
electric
you.
vehicle charging stations paid for by the state government have gone live in Northampton and Geraldton. It's hoped that by early next year, chargers in 49 locations across the state will be up and running.
The state government has $43.5 million to assist with electric vehicle infrastructure around the state. The money is being spent by Synergy and Horizon Power to build the chargers. On average, they're able to provide 4 to 5 hours worth of driving after just 20 minutes on charge.
It's an absolute game changer for EV owners in WA.
ChargeFox will maintain the sites and collect payments.
Roughly $30 for a full charge on average. If you buy an EV and you're charging it from our grid, you are helping to reduce carbon emissions in the state.
The goal for Australia is net zero carbon emissions by 2050. This initiative is part of the state's electric vehicle action plan.
It's making sure that we are putting our money where our mouth is.
Geraldton and Northampton are the first 2 locations now online, with 47 other places that should be live by the start of next year. Chargers at Albany, Manjimup, Walpole and Williams are currently under construction.
The people that have been working on this, see it differently and see that there is a future for electric vehicles.
Tesla owners say there's no choice but to adopt electric vehicles. They'll soon be with us in greater numbers.
EVs all in regional areas, because there's nothing that EV owners like to do more than to take their cars on long road trips.
WA's EV uptake has been slow compared to the rest of the country, with our vast size the greatest challenge. As the largest charging network now starts to come online, the anxiety of longer road trips, hopefully, a thing of the past.
But we need round 2, we need round 3, we need round 4. So we need some more charges in the inner parts of WA, not just the coast.
Josh Van Staden, 7 News.
First electric vehicle charge.
About that. Just got some.
Doesn't want to go away.
issues.
He wants to leave.
Oh no, it's Facebook, because Facebook does a perpetual scrolling, so it was scrolling onto something else. But sorry, we're back now. Let me just readjust this screen.
So yeah, thanks, Harold. So as you can see, we had a lot of EV owners that came. So not only people from Tokwa and EAVA, but also we had a BYD 803, we had an MG, a Genesis, which is the green lemon. Not sure how you call this color. Green lemon. Not really sure. Lime green. There you go. So that was great as well, to show people that it's not only Tesla, because there is often this perception that EVs are not, are too expensive or are only for a certain kind of people. So it was really great to have a lot of different ones. We had an Ioniq as well. Did I miss an Kona, of course? I think I didn't miss any.
BYD,
but yeah, so that
BYD's
was
that blue one.
BYD. Yeah. So that was really good, because all these cars that you see there, none of them were local, right? So everyone came up with their car just for the event, and it was a massive effort, and such a good collaboration. So yeah, that was lovely, and you can see the whole crew on the top. Yeah, it was really nice. Some people from JetCharge, some people from ChargeFox. Yeah. Some people from the local government authorities. Obviously, without the city of Geraldton, we will not be able to do anything. So it was great to meet with them as well. So yeah, it was a really great event. And so now, yeah, it's great to have someone that talks so well to the media. It makes a big difference as well. So it was great to have Pete to answer all the hard questions. It was much better than if it would have been Harold or I.
Can I just say,
right.
When it comes to you or Harold, you are the ones that actually do the hard work behind the scenes and don't get enough credit. So as well as Rob, but yeah, you two guys, no one's done more work to ensure that this project is successful than you, Sandra, and you, Harold. So yeah, my mic may have been in front of the camera, but you guys did the work. So
Yeah, that's where the good collaboration is, everyone has his forte, and we use it at our best, and that's what we do best. And you talk super well, so that's perfect. All together, that's how we make it successful. If it's only one of us, like, it's always missing some skills. So that's what makes it perfect, I guess. That's why it's so good to have you all around, And so, yeah, very excited. So Albany, Menjimep, Williams, Walpole. So at the time, I can tell you that all the DC chargers have arrived in Perth. Yeah, the boat arrived finally. So we're super excited because we are waiting for it since end of December. So, it's great news. We have the chargers, they're here. They are branded right now in our warehouse this week. So we should be able to deliver them to different sites next week and so on. And then few work, obviously, with Western Power and things like that. But that's why these 4 sites should be able, at least the first 3. I think Walpole is a little bit behind because there is more work. But Albany, Menjimep, and Williams, I'm quite comfortable to be able to commission. If everything goes well, we should be able to do the commissioning in May. So they should be operational in June at the latest. So it's exciting. It's happening. So that's it for me. Is there any question, comments? Shoot.
Job well done.
Thank you so much for putting the hard work in.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Yes. And thank you, Sandra.
Job in local government after here.
Now thank her in French.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup pour tout travail acharné, Sandra.
C'est un plaisir. Merci. C'est pas fini, hein? C'est pas fini. Still a lot to do, so it's just a start. But it's great to have a milestone to celebrate, right? Because we have worked behind the scene, as you say, Pete, for so long. There is such an amount of work that we don't know about, and even me, I didn't know about. Until you go into it, you just realize how much more work there is than what you plan. And so it was so nice to be able to celebrate. And for me, because I'm so close to Tokwa and AVA, it was really great to celebrate with these guys as well. Not much more than my own team, but they are my own team. So that was really cool to have them around as well. It was just, we were excited like little kids before Christmas, seriously. It was just so cool to see the charger running. When we started to unwrap the charger during commissioning and so on, seriously, I was like, yeah, so excited. So yeah, it's happening.
Yeah.
When are you getting your car, Sandra?
Sorry?
When are you getting your car?
Don't know. When I change job, maybe.
We might have to do a GoFundMe page for Sandra to get an EV.
I think there's better cause to give money to Harold.
But look, it was awesome. Exactly. One thing that was actually quite instructional at the end of this Odyssey on the Monday, because the Monday consisted of the actual opening itself, which started at approximately 10 o'clock and finished at around about 11:30, was, of course, you've got all these multitude of EVs, all highly motivated to get back to Perth. And of course, Perth is about 408 kilometres away. So Jurien Bay was an essential charging stop. But of course, as Sandra said, Jurien Bay, the WAEV network hasn't yet been installed at Jurien Bay. By the look of it, if you have a look at Jurien Bay itself, all the concrete slabs have been done, all the conduits are in. I dare say that the site is probably ready to have chargers fitted, but there is no transformer. And that's obviously something that's not part of Synergy's remit. That's a second supplier that supplies those, namely Western Power. But what it actually did was, I think I was about the third car maybe the second car. Were we the second car, Sandra, to get there? I think, or maybe the Genesis was there ahead of us.
Yes,
the MG was behind us.
I think the Kona as well overtake us.
Yes.
Because we didn't want to have to stop at Jurien Bay. So like Harold was really he was really focused, not only to arrive without having to charge at Jurien Bay, but to arrive with as least percentage in his car as possible. So we arrived in Carignan, we were at 3%, and he was very angry at himself. He was like, I could have gone quicker. So it was me, I was very happy I chose the right chauffeur. That's why I don't need an EV. I have the perfect chauffeur, perfect car. That's perfect. I don't need an EV. It's awesome. But no, it was joke apart. I think some members of my team and so on were not home before 10 p.m. this day because there was so many cars. I think there was four or five when Pete and Harold we left. I think there was 4 or 5 waiting to charge, isn't it?
No, there was more because there was that Model S there.
There was Model S as well, yeah.
Wade had his Model 3, but he wasn't waiting to charge. But then we had the 2 Konas, the Genesis, Rob, Harold.
Oh, the MG as well.
Yeah, so that's not ours. Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
true.
Yeah,
and we saw a couple of them as well coming up from Perth to Julian Bay, and they were needing to charge as well. So they will have been, I think, not really happy to arrive in Julian Bay and see a massive queue waiting. So yeah.
But what it was it was a unique opportunity because bearing in mind that the CEO of ChargeFox was there, one of the heads of JetCharge was there, Synergy was there, Horizon Power was there, and TOCWA and EVA members were there as well. And it sort of highlighted the critical importance of charger reliability. So for example, if the 50 kilowatt Tritium charger was not operational, and bearing in mind it did have a few conniptions a few days earlier, imagine if all you had was the AC backup, there'd be people there charging until 3 in the morning. So it's critical that all of these DC chargers are as reliable as they possibly can be. And it was really useful for everyone there just to see that critical importance of that every charger, every 200 kilometers has to work 24/7. And that was super important. But what, like Sandra alluded to, what I did was I basically did the 407 kilometers to Karrinyup without charging and got there with 14 kilometers to go. So yes, I did waste a little bit.
You left with 98% as well. You didn't even go to 100.
I left with 98%. So that's what it was. And Rob Dean did a similar thing in his Performance Model Y. So it's just things you have to do, but unfortunately the Konas couldn't, the Genesis couldn't, the BYD couldn't, the MG certainly couldn't. So it was just a great highlight, a great learning of how critical reliability is to this network.
I might take the opportunities then to jump because I saw a few social media regarding the fact that there is one plug in Geraldton at the moment that doesn't work. 1 out of the 4 plugs in Geraldton is not working. To be honest, when we did the commissioning, we had few issues with this plug. And we believe we are investigating, but we believe that the reason why is because, these chargers stay in the ground for about 3 months before they were energized. And because they are unwrapped in a warehouse to be branded and then rewrapped, they are not rewrapped by people that are used to send chargers, and they are definitely not done to be not operational in the ground for 3 months. So my assumption, and it's a personal assumption, and we will see what the investigation reveals, but we believe that it's because they take a bit of rain and they became a bit wet inside. So we believe that there is an insulation error. So during the commissioning, we had a bit of water getting out when we put it out of the wrapping, and we make it dry and we try, and it was working, and then it was not working, and then it was working. So, and then it was working for several tests that we did. So we thought it was good. It has dried and, it's good to go because it was working. And then we arrived for the launch and it was working. And then it was not working at all. And we have tried on like 4 or 5 different, I think we tried with all the cars we had, right?
Yes, so this is a little bit hard to see. So you can see this is the station before it was commissioned, and basically the cables are wrapped around, and this bit here is bubble wrap surrounding one of the plugs, but the plug's actually facing downwards. So any rain dripping on the cable will run down to where the gland is and effectively fill up the head of the plug.
Yeah, so we are not sure what it is. Like they are investigating right now, so I can't give you for certain. This is our assumption because it's written as well, insulation error on the screen. So we believe that's what happened. And are they gonna change it completely? Are they gonna replace the unit because it will be quicker? I don't know yet, because right now they're just trying to find out what is the best option. But that's one of the learning curve as well that we are going through, which is great because once again, we have to have an operational network by Q1 2024. So this is a buffer time for us to learn. So obviously we want it to work ASAP and as good as possible, but it's great to learn from it. And hopefully we will make it operational very, very soon. That's testing well.
Look, to have some teething problems is fine. And yeah, as you say, you're going to learn from them and get it all going.
Yeah, hopefully. That's what we hope. Thanks for your new title, by the way.
Did it old man grumpy or something?
Grumpy old man in French.
Grumpy old man in
French.
Well done. But yeah, it's
just for you, Sandra.
Thank you. It's disappointing, like when you put so much effort and you arrive for the launch, we were cleaning the station, we were removing the graffiti on the transformer, all be pretty for the pictures and so on, and you have one that doesn't work. Obviously we were disappointed, and we know that there is the Eclipse as well, so we know that it's very much used at the moment. So having one plugin available, yes, it's disappointing, it's annoying, it's even frustrating, but there is still 3 out of 4 working. So it's not like it's if the Joyent Bay one was broken right now, that would be a massive issue. It's still annoying, but yeah, we are gonna learn from that, and hopefully it will also allow us, the next 6 months will really allow us to just get good dry runs. So then we have an operational network. So.
Well, you'll be glad to know someone was charging there just a short while ago. They've now unplugged and moved on.
I look at the dashboard again this morning, and weirdly enough, the commissioning was about 2 weeks ago, and in 2 weeks we already had 100 entries. So in 2 weeks, well, obviously I'm sure 20 of them are just Harold, but just doing some testing, in and out for 2 minutes. And I mean, obviously we have tested the machine, so it's not completely representative of how many different people have really fully charged their cars to keep going. But yeah, it's a good number, right? It's great. It's great. That means that it's really needed, and that's what is the most important. We feel like, it's not too late yet. It's still very important to have all this charger in place. So yeah.
Sandra, also the people going up to Exmouth for the Eclipse with EVs, so they would have been hitting it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, because I know there is a caravan that has been organized by Tilka as well to go see the Eclipse. So yeah, that's why I would have preferred to have 4 operational plugs, definitely. I'm totally aware of the traffic at the moment, but they will have to do with 3 fast chargers, while 2 weeks ago there was no fast charger. So it's better than it was. That's a positive. But yeah, hopefully they will be able to go to Exmouth though, because it seems like it's becoming very complicated up there.
And there was actually when we were at Geraldton, we saw an Israeli tourist who had hired a blue Model Y, presumably on EV or Turo or something.
Model S, Model Y,
Model Y. It was a Model Y blue one, and he was charging up at Geraldton. And apparently he had a hitchhiker that he had collected who was intending to hitchhike to Exmouth. Except that hitchhiker was so concerned about the tourist's driving style that he actually wanted to get a different ride from someone else because he feared for his life. And this person, I don't think, had ever really driven an EV and was basically going to Exmouth with nothing but, I think it was a 10 amp UMC in the back, and that was it. And possibly a Type 2 cable. I'm not entirely certain. So don't know if he made it. Don't know if he's going to make it back, but it's going to be pretty interesting nonetheless.
Facebook
Yeah.
somewhere.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, he didn't know much. I think he didn't realize either that what was Western Australia. Like, I think he was a bit living in La La Land, which was quite concerning. So this EV network will be as well very useful for this kind of tourists, because they are so used to have high technology in their own country or in Europe and so on, that they don't realize the distance, and they don't realize that they need to plan ahead. And, like they just don't think ahead. They're just like, oh yeah, it's cool. Here we go. That's not how it works in WA.
It's even people from the eastern states. They come to Perth and they just expect to jump in their EV and just go, and they'll see a charger on the way somewhere. A bit like you'll see a petrol station on the way somewhere. Because
Conversely, Pete, like when we go across to the eastern states, we're so relieved we don't have to plan all the trips. You just punch it in, supercharger, done.
Yeah. Well, my brother and I, when we went from Melbourne to Sydney, 10.5-hour drive, only had to charge twice, and both of our cars both times were charged before our trip. We had about a dozen different options to choose from. So we only those dozen. So, yeah.
It's a good point. Like the new manager from Horizon Power, Ryan, came for the launch. He just arrived in this job, and he's from the East Coast, and I think he arrived in Perth like a couple of weeks ago or so. And he was thinking coming with his family, young kids, to the launch in his EV, in his Model 3. And so when I heard that, I gave him a call, and I was like, oh, what is it that you want to do? And because he wanted to go with his kids and he wanted to travel, he didn't realize at all that it would be this bottleneck in Giant Bay and blah, blah, blah. So then I said to him, mate, take a petrol car. Sorry to say that.
Thing is a French woman. Soon as they make it talk quite.
Sorry, Warren, can you say that again? We didn't hear you clearly.
Yeah, I didn't hear.
So I'm just going to have to mute you, Warren, because we can't hear you properly and you're doing a lot of echoing. Sorry about that. Yeah, sorry, go on, Sandra.
No, that's it. Yeah, so I think it's right. Like WA is very specific as well. And that's why the reliability of the network is even more important in WA than anywhere else. So fully aware of it. And
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
it's not perfect yet, but we are working towards it.
Absolutely. Now, something that was a bit of good news is this is a charging session that I had. My car got added 201 kilometers, and it did so in less than 20 minutes. In fact, it was 18 minutes. So in 18 minutes on a Performance Model Y, I basically added 201 kilometers. So that just goes to show how quick this charging is.
But yours, Harold, or Richard Cooper's?
That was mine. Actually, Richard was mistaken. So therefore I was by extension. Richard thought that I'd collect his car the next day, last Thursday, but I'm actually collecting it for Richard tomorrow.
Oh, so that's when the drag's on.
This was in, yeah, that's right. This was in my car. So that is my car doing 677 kilometers an hour, having just put in 201 kilometers with no battery conditioning, and that literally took 18 minutes.
Wonderful.
So that's just how fast it is. Now, this is the rest of the charging session. So it actually peaked at 115 kilowatts. What it shows, and you can just scan a QR code on the charger itself on the screen and monitor it anywhere remotely, anywhere in the world for that matter. But what this shows is for 17 minutes, it was the charger providing the maximum power it could. and then for a further 7 minutes, it was the car tapering off. So it basically maxed out at 115 kilowatts, and then the car tapered off when I got to 62%. So there you go.
Cool. So how's the car anyway?
Oh,
Performance.
it's a rocket. It's absolutely a rocket. It's awesome. It's awesome. We might talk about that a little bit. Actually, we could talk about it soon, I guess.
Unless it's a
Sandra,
new
thank you
person.
very much for everything that report you've given us.
Yeah.
Feel free to stay along, or if you've got family or something else, or a dog to kick or something, feel free to do that too. But thank you
they're
so.
sleeping now.
Yeah, hopefully. And if they don't, just put one of the previous episodes of Ask Us Anything on in the background, and they'll be off to sleep in no time.
You would be
But-
surprised.
But once again, thank you very much, Sandra. Really, really appreciate it, and
No, big
especially
thank
all the
you
efforts
to
you went
you.
to.
Big thank
Yeah.
you to you, Harold, and also Pete and Rob and Robin. Like massive, massive thanks to you guys. Will not be there without you. So I know, as Pete said, like I know you like to stay behind the curtain, but the amount of work that Harold is putting in this network is massive. Like I'm annoying him and I give him homework nearly every month. And he's always saying, hey, no worries, I can do that, I can help you there. Like, so yeah, massive, massive thank you, Harold. Very appreciated. So thank you, everyone. And yeah, if you have any question or anything, just reach out to Harold and he will forward to me. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Sandra.
Sandra. Take care. Good
Yeah.
night.
Thank you, brilliant job.
So Sandra's discovered something about you, Harold, that we've known for a while, that you can't say no.
You're as bad as you,
Hey,
Pete.
Pete. Is that
Just
coming
call
from
me-
you, Pete?
Yeah, I think that's the pot calling the kettle black there, Pete.
Exactly.
Just a little bit.
Sorry.
Okay, now this is something I couldn't say no to, and that was to pop my drone up in a certain location in O'Connor, because this is pretty big news. This is going to be the new site of Tesla's delivery center at 146 Carrington Road in O'Connor. So basically the site is all of this along here, all the way back there. It's 19,500 square meters of land.
Bloody hell.
And I think it was 11 or 12,000 square meters of building. And as you can see, there's a little bit of solar on there too. I counted 1,000 panels, so I guess that roughly 1,000. So I guess that means it's probably a 300 kilowatt installation, or 250 or 400 perhaps, whatever, something like that.
Have they bought
So-
this place? Renting it.
Sorry?
Have they bought this place?
No.
They're just renting that.
So there's someone that's put a post up on a Facebook group that alleged that Tesla had bought it. That's not actually the case. Let me just get my little notes here. My note says that basically a company called Gentile Nominees has contracted to purchase it from the owner, which is Gold Pearl Corporation. So I presume, and I do already know that Tesla's corporate practice is not to do things necessarily like buy buildings around the world. So I presume that there is a long-term lease that's been signed with Gentile Nominees. That is how Tesla is going to be actually occupying this plot. And I've done a title search. The place actually sold this place actually sold. In fact, I've got the real commercial listing for it. Let me just find it in 2 seconds. Here it is.
Is it
here.
just a
It
delivery
sold-
center? Or is...
It's
Oh, sorry, go.
sold. Sorry, I'll just keep.
No,
on
sorry.
this
Yeah, go.
thing. It sold back in 2013 for about $7.5 million. And you can see that the rent was 9.2%. I think in the explanation it was about 825K. That probably gives you an idea. If Tesla takes the whole lot, which we don't quite know yet, then that's a sizable investment. So you can see there the floor area is 12,000 square metres and it's nearly 2 hectares. And like I said, that's the footprint there. So this is today's drone shot, and that's from one side. And as we rotate, this is the front view. So it's all of this all here. We've got a side view looking towards the north, and we've got a view looking towards the west, and we rotate looking towards the south. And then we're back to the 3/4 view. Oh, and also it's got some great facilities, such as you've actually got 3 semi-trailer loading docks. Like literally, it's sunken so that you can hook up basically semi-trailers. Plenty of solar. You've got various businesses. There's a soil business. There's a few other things.
Is that a meth lab next door, Harold?
There could be a meth lab. There's actually, this place here is Anchor Flour Mills. They also produce Empire brown flour. So a lot of white powder there. And to the left is the Big Loaf. So that's where you get your Big Loaf bakery. So it's an awesome site. I think it makes absolute sense for Tesla to put a service center at that site and also a retail outlet, showroom. But whether they do or don't, I don't know for sure. But I do know that will be the site for the delivery center, because something we've always known is that the Osborne Park location has always been temporary. And you can see that because you've got your Plentypath drive-in COVID centre. That big, huge block of land was originally a James Hardie Iplex pipeline manufacturing site. So, clearly Tesla have got a temporary lease on that site. So they will be moving to this site in O'Connor.
I like, Harold, that it's big enough for 2 Cybertrucks.
No, 3 semis. You can load up 3 semis. Can be reversing in with various interesting parts and things. But and with between, let's call it 250 and 300 kilowatts of solar panels. Oh, and by the way, for people that are interested, just so happened when I dug into this thing yesterday that.
And it's closer to the wharf, Harold.
It's close to the wharf, and there's already been a design application made by someone, presumably on behalf of Tesla, at that address, and that the lodgement date was yesterday, which was pretty cool, for additions to the existing building. So things are moving rather quickly. So I expect by the end of this year, that will be the site of the delivery centre, and who knows, perhaps it'll be the site of a second service centre and showroom.
Hey, Harold, I've got a question for you. On the back of your Model Y, is there badging for your performance?
Yes, it has the words dual motor and an underline with red inset.
Right.
So I don't think I've actually got any close-up photos that I took. I did do
There might be some on PlugShare.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of subtle ones on PlugShare. Give me 2 seconds there, Jared. I think I said something like, I did. There's some evidence. I said high performance charging at Geraldton, and there was a bit of a pun there because there's the red calipers. So that was at Jarrow. So I went Darrow at Jarrow, and then at Northampton, I think we've got a slightly different image, which, then you can see here, it says dual motor, and then there's a red underline.
And no license plate. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
Yeah, I like to be on the download there, Jared.
Is that your Eclipse? Is that your Eclipse license plate? Is it, Harold?
It is. My license plate was eclipsed. That's correct.
Yeah, look at that.
particular lighting conditions. But I actually managed to keep my original 1HRM 420 number plates, which I'm doomed to keep in perpetuity. But
Harold, way back
Yes.
when we started this, there was a new lady. I don't know if we're ever going to get round to new people.
Yeah, Susan,
I
I
am
think it was.
so sorry. Yes,
Susan.
it was.
Yeah, Susan.
My sincere apologies, Susan. I usually do ask for new people to introduce themselves, but it's been a big week. So please do, if you haven't already given up in disgust, say hello and introduce yourself.
Well, actually, I'm not new. I did introduce myself sometime in January, I think, but I haven't got my car yet. But I've got the dog hammock. I've got the floor mats. I've got the wall charger. And I've got the UMC.
Yeah.
I've had the $3,000 price reduction and delivery May. So
You only need another 26 things, Susan, and then you'll be same as Pete Petoskey.
Is it a wire or
items for
three?
your car, and then you'll be the same as Pete.
well, maybe not quite the same, but anyway,
Right.
I'm getting very excited, but it still hasn't happened. So I'm actually not new, but I haven't got it. I will be new one day when I've got a car.
Is it a Y or a 3, Susan?
It's a 3.
Model 3. Awesome. So you'll also get the $3,500 rebate from the WA government
That's
as
right.
well.
Yes. And selling my vehicle on car sales or whatever. So, you know, the changeover price actually is very acceptable. So I'm really happy.
Yeah.
Well, I will be when I get the car.
Absolutely. Well, in the meantime, you can just immerse yourself in Ask Us Anything and slowly marinate in the collective knowledge that we've all gained through between weeks, months, and years of ownership. So it's always a good way to learn.
Yeah, I've been doing that. And in particular, I was tuned in the night that Alison was asking about the wall connector or the whatever her conundrum was, and I listened closely to that. And so I decided after that discussion just to go straight for the wall connector. It's going to save a lot of heartache, get straight to the fastest charging that I could. And I'm also in the process of possibly moving house, so I'll probably have to pick it up and take it to a new house anyway in a while, a couple of years or so. So, you know, I factored all that in, and I was actually amazed at Tesla, the company. I got advised of the price reduction on, I think it was a Thursday, and I had already decided to get the wall connector, but I jumped in and put the order in, and it was delivered to me on the Tuesday. So that was 4 business days. And yeah, truly, it was amazing. I just thought, what a company this is. And so it just adds to the excitement to eventually get the car. I also bought a UMC. I think the price reduction took away the possibility of getting a UMC with the car. So I just jumped in and bought one of those as well. So I'm ready to go.
Good.
Just have to
Awesome.
learn how to drive.
Oh, look, it's so easy. It's just the right pedal goes faster, the left pedal you hardly ever have to use. And the steering wheel you don't have to use mostly down the freeway. So it's just an awesome vehicle. It really is. It never gets old.
I just want to say we ordered ours, Model Y LFP rear-wheel drive in September last year, and it was predominantly going to be my wife's buzzing around town and then my crisis car on the weekend, so like a 2-for-1 package. And then since we have ordered it, there's been 1 charger in Williams. Now there's 4 superchargers, and Albany has, you know, lit up with superchargers, and all the southwest. So it's become more than that now. It's become our car, just our car. It's awesome. Still a little bit to go. I think north. I think my wife's got a bit of a anxiety effect of that, but apart from that, it's been a great car, and we have not had to have the wall charger. We're just using it, plug it in. She goes down to works at Mount Lawley, comes home 88%, plug it in, it's ready to go the next day. Perfect. Love it.
That's awesome. Wendy's husband.
Shane, by the way.
Shane. Let me just write that down, Shane, so I'll remember next time.
I'm going to change that.
I know it takes a bit of effort actually, and it's not necessarily that easy because especially if you don't do it very often.
No, and she's away.
But so Shane, I guess the next question is, when are you going to go from being an awesome one Tesla family to get the whole set, get the complete set?
Well, I work in construction, so bring on the Cybertruck.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for segueing to the most important product that Tesla is going to build, and the one that we're all looking forward to.
Which will now charge even faster because of the Kempower software update on those modules.
Oh yes. So I don't know. I can't remember if I mentioned that last week, but one great thing, and it just shows how good software updates or firmware updates can be. Initially, when those chargers were ordered and priced, Kempower had two versions. They had let's call it a 400 volt version for domestic cars, and then they had what they called a commercial version, which was mainly intended for bus fleets, and that was the 500 to 1000 or above 500 volt version. But as I said last week, Kempower, with just a mere firmware update, because they have their modules in pairs and they can actually series them up, they've worked out how to series them up so you can get 800 volt class charging, which will be great for the Cybertruck. It's great for the new Hyundai Ioniq, and I think the Kia EV6 as well, and some Audis and other expensive cars. So that's awesome.
What about the Nissan Leaf? How would that be able to take that?
I guess the short answer is no, and the long answer is no. No, it will not. Now this is going to be a Dorothy Dixer for Nigel. What could this possibly mean, Nigel? Apart from a shameless plug to drink rum made in WA.
Warum is why in German.
Very good. So if you see a blue car that's touting West Australian made alcohol, it's not that at all. It's just the why.
Can I ask a quick question about charging, please, Harold?
Yes, Rick.
Yeah, cheers, mate. I've got a Model 3 and I've just a normal one, and but I've just ordered a Model Y long range. I'm used to charging the Model 3 up to 100% because it's got lithium batteries on it. Is that right? The Model Y long range is only recommended charging up to 90?
Correct. So the chemistry is completely different in the short range. Let's call it the standard range cars. They are lithium iron phosphate chemistry, and they actually like and are recommended to be charged to 100%. You can do that all day, every day. In fact, if you go on holidays, it's recommended that you keep the slider at 100% and you plug the car in while you're on holidays. Now, I'll just show very quickly while I'm talking. Now, on the other hand, the long range cars and some of the very old Model 3s, the original old Model 3s, had nickel, cobalt, and aluminium NCA chemistry, or NMC, nickel, manganese, cobalt, and they ought to be charged only to 90% regularly. You can absolutely charge them to 100%, but what Tesla recommends is that you start driving the car as soon as it gets, or as soon as possible after it gets to 100%. So I'll just get a screen up, and what you'll see is this car here is my standard range Y. It's a screen capture of my standard range Y, and you'll see that the actual slider, it just has these little tick marks, 50 to 100. When you get the long range car version, or if you have an older standard range version, you'll see the word daily here and the word trip here. And what that means is that you should only put it to 100% when you're on a trip. Otherwise, you should go to 90%.
Yeah, my Model 3 got that image you're showing there as far as the 50 to 100 kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's an important factor. All you do with the long range cars is just leave it at 90%. I had a Model X that I sold at 220,000 kilometers. Every day of its life, it's spent being charged to 90%. And that's basically driven.
And it continues to do so.
Precisely. And it had driven, before I sold it, it had driven the equivalent of 15 years of Perth CBD usage. And
So
it
it's
only
pure-
lost 10%.
So it's purely battery construction, not the way you're charging it. I only use a 15 amp plug at home for charging, so
Yes.
that's no difference to it. Just purely the battery construction, is it?
It's the battery chemistry that is at play, which dictates, because Tesla actually, when they charge a long range car to 100%, they mean it, to the point where it actually, and there's actually a YouTube video on our Tokwa YouTube channel. It's one of the very early videos. In fact, I will try and very quickly bring it up, and I can actually then show it to you live, but do have a look at our Tokwa. Just go to youtube.com/Tokwa, and it's one of the very old videos, and I think it's a pro tip video. Just trying to find it here, and it's going to annoy. Oh, here we go. Okay, so it's at the very bottom, and it basically describes what you should do for a road trip. And I'm just going to bring it up in 2 seconds. Here we go.
If you're going on a long trip, you might want to charge your car to nearly 100%. It's not ideal to leave your car fully charged overnight, so here's a great pro tip to overcome this problem. Just leave your car plugged in to charge to 90% overnight, and then change the limit to 100% about an hour before you're ready to leave.
Notice how it says daily and trip. That's the key.
Is
You
there,
can also
is there
do
any
this
chance?
remotely.
Sorry, go on.
Is there any chance that they're going to be changing the batteries on the long range at all to lithium ion?
Yes, there is. There is a possibility that Tesla will work out how to jam enough LFP into a car to give it long range, basically, and not have to use the NCA or NMC chemistry. In fact, that's one of Tesla's stated goals, that I think they actually alluded to that on Battery Day and also on the Tesla Investor Day, that for the standard size cars, let's call them the mid-size cars, so Model 3 Y, they do intend to use mainly LFP. They just haven't done it yet, but as we know, Tesla changes their cars continually.
But
So
it's not something that will happen in the next couple of months. So
No. So don't change orders
No.
or delay things or anything. In fact, that's a pointless game to play. Literally, whenever you buy it is whenever you get your car is the best time to get it. In fact, the only time that was better to get your car was last year or 2 years ago or 5 years ago, because you would have enjoyed it for that extra amount of time. So I'll just quickly go straight back to the video.
You can also do this remotely using your Tesla app. Over the next hour, the car will progressively charge to 100%, although the majority of charging will be completed in the first half hour. The last 1 or 2% takes the longest and can be skipped if you don't want to wait the extra 30 minutes.
Okay.
But-
Well, I guess, sorry.
Yeah.
I
So one thing there is,
Sorry.
sorry, just when you look at the actual
The last one or two charging will
Whoops. I'll just shut that person up because he's being rude. The thing to impress was I actually did a time lapse, and when you look at the time lapse, it's in real time, like relative. So if I just quickly just highlight this. So as you can see, it's 91, 92, 3, 4, 5. It's really quick.
Yeah.
And then it starts slowing down, and it gets to 99 or even 100, and it will keep doing that as it's leveling off for a very long time. So don't obviously bother taking it that extra bit, because 2% is nothing, but at least you'll gain the extra 8%. And what I normally do is, if I'm going to leave in the morning, as soon as I wake up, I'll just get on my phone app, have the car plugged in at 90%, slide the slider to 100%, just check that it did actually work. Brush your teeth, have breakfast, do whatever, get packed. By the time you've done that, which is about half an hour or so, you've then got your car at near enough to 100% if you want that extra range. Bearing in mind that with the WAEV network, with charges every 200 kilometres, it's just not going to matter. Just leave it at 90% and drive your 200 Ks, plug in. You'll only have to plug in for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And trust me, time flies when you're out in some new place where you go for a comfort break, have a cup of coffee or something like that. You'll actually find yourself sort of walking back to your car quite quickly before you even expect it.
So basically, it's don't leave it at 100% for a long time before driving, is what we're saying.
Please don't. Yes, that's ideal. Look, if you forget one day and it happened to be at 100% overnight, don't worry that you've cooked your battery or anything like that. It's just that if you think of those batteries when they're at 100%, like I said, Tesla means it when they push them to 100%. They really are jamming electrons almost one at a time towards the top. Don't fret if you've forgotten it once or twice, but just don't make it a habit. That's all. Just try and be aware. And in fact, the car will warn you. So if you've forgotten and you've left it the slider 100% for a couple of days, you'll actually get a notification that actually says continuing to charge your battery at these high levels may cause premature aging. I think it actually automatically goes to 90% and then asks you a question, do you want to persist with this high level of charging or something like that? And I think if you say yes, then it will put it back, but it automatically sort of puts it down.
And I guess that 90% of the long range is better than 100% of the Tesla 3 range that I've got now. So yeah.
Yes. So you're getting a long range Y or a long range 3?
Y.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. No, the long range Ys are great. I forget what the 90% range was, because I did hire one of those in Austria. I can't quite remember. I do know that they have a battery pack usable of about roughly 77 kilowatt hours, which is 77. It's about nearly 30% bigger, not quite, 28% bigger than the standard range.
Okay, thanks there. And just don't take it on the beach. Yeah.
No, why not? Go.
After that last latest video, that guy bogged down on the beach, right?
Yeah, the Model X.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
But,
okay, I'll let someone else have a go. No, thanks so much, Harold.
And from the battery day, it was the long range were nickel manganese batteries. So
NMC. Manganese, yes.
Yeah. So they weren't actually still talking about. So it's still standard range. It's LFP. So,
okay. Thanks a lot.
Cheers. That's all right.
That's right. Thank you.
And Rick, just so you know, when you charge your car to 100%, if you need to for a long trip or what have you, just know that for the first few kilometres, your regenerative braking will either not be engaged at all, or it will be very slight, because Harold said, Tesla are literally jamming in every last kilowatt hour that they can into that battery. And the reason why you have no regenerative braking is because there's no more room in the battery to put any more electrons into it. So,
yeah, of course, yeah.
Well, having said that, Pete, there is that cars now do simulate regen by using the brake, and what you'll see is a little green symbol that sort of looks like a brake disc with brake calipers on it, and that sort of indicates that the car's effectively simulating a moderate level of regen. Although, of course, when you see that, you sort of want to drive a bit smoother if you want to sort of preserve your energy and not waste energy, basically.
I know the older cars still don't, so I know my car doesn't. And I noticed that again, driving to Geraldton and came back from Geraldton, had no regen for about 3%. So down to about
Isn't that a
9%.
user selectable switch? You actually have to say that you want to have the pseudo braking, pseudo regen. It's not automatic. So what you're saying, Pete, is fine. Harold's instance, I thought there was a switch that came out in the software. You had to actually choose it. I've got mine set so that normal regen, I don't like the brakes kicking in. I'll just drive the car carefully.
No, not on the 3.
Okay.
I think now it's actually standard. There's no software switch for it. I think it's
No, there's not.
I think
I've just checked the 3 now, and there's nothing extra.
It
So I
just comes
think,
standard now.
I don't remember seeing it. Yeah.
I think for a short time it was an option, but I think Tesla probably worked out that most people just like it as a feature because it just makes it more consistent.
No, I did notice in the release notes when that software change came out, and I said, no, that's not the style that I like to drive, and I've just ignored it thereafter.
Exactly. Alrighty. We've obviously got a lot of other things. A certain federal government brought out a minor document. But before we get into that, are there any questions that anyone that might be new may have that we haven't answered yet? And apologies, I haven't even looked at the chat yet. But if anyone's got any questions or comments, please fire away.
I've got a question.
Hi, Michelle.
I honestly, I've bought an electric car. I absolutely love it. I don't know the first thing about electricity. There's a 3-phase charger at my work, a PowerPoint thing on the outside of the building. And the boss has said to me, oh, you can charge your car up there if you like. What do I need?
Is it a 20 amp or 32 amp phase?
Okay, that's what I need to find out.
If you don't know, Michelle, just take a photo of it or just have a look at the configuration of the pins inside the socket. And so if it's a 32 amp, or actually, I won't confuse you and myself with that, but take a photo of it and show us next week or whenever you have it available. And you might even find a small little compliance plate, like a chrome plate. So take a photo of that as well. I might even tell you on there.
Okay, thank you. I'll do that.
So, but what you need to answer your question is there's 2 ways you can go. So you can get your UMC, the Universal Mobile Connector, which is the charger that hopefully came with your car.
The solid black bit with the lights on it.
Yep.
That's the one. Yep. So you know how you have 2 tails, colloquially called pigtails?
Yeah.
Well, you can get actually a third version of that with a red plug on the end, which goes into that 3-phase.
Okay.
Now it's a 3-phase plug, but your UMC is a single-phase device. So you will only get the equivalent of roughly about 7.6 kilowatts rather than the full 11 kilowatts. And Harold used to actually wanted to ask you, Harold, if you've got any more of those coming, but the club used to buy them in wholesale, and because we're not for profit, we'd sell them at the price that we brought them in at. They were the cons chargers, which is basically a cable which can pull the whole 3-phase, the 3 phases out of that socket to give you the full 11 kilowatts. So 11 kilowatts is the equivalent. Have you got a 3 or a wide?
A 3, long range.
So yeah, that's probably equivalent to about 80 kilometers an hour. And the 7.6 is, I don't know, 50. Yeah.
So the adapter that Pete was alluding to is this one,
right?
And that basically fits into your UMC. which the other end of it looks like this,
Yeah.
and that goes into your UMC. It's even though it's a 3-phase plug, it only has a single phase that's being used. So that's the bit that goes into the actual socket.
Yeah.
So that's it there, basically plugged in. You can get them for various prices. Just looking on this website, they've got them for about $175 in stock. This is evchargers.com.au.
Yep.
So
That's what I've got. That's
one
fine.
thing that's critically important is that when you look at your socket, it should look like this, but it must have this center pin. If it
Okay.
doesn't, not all of them do, but if it doesn't, then it will not work. And it should have this little notch at the bottom. If you
Yeah.
see something with a big flat at the bottom, that's a 20 amp outlet. This one is a 32 amp. And if you zoom in, I can't zoom in very well on this photo
Yeah.
because it's sort of going to mess me up.
Yeah.
It'll say 32
Oh, yeah.
amps on the top.
Yeah, so take
Basically.
photos and then
So-
we'll know.
If you like, you can, I'll just put my number in the chat. If you like, you can send me a text on that number,
Okay.
just in the chat there. Or if you wanted to just ring me directly on the helpline, you can just ring on 62623131. But you can't text to that number, but it does go to my mobile. But just text me on the mobile a photo of the socket. Now, look, the other alternative is if that isn't in a convenient location at work, and perhaps at work you've got an ordinary 10 amp outlet. The thing is that even with a 10 amp outlet, you'll get roughly 12 kilometers of range per hour, which over an 8-hour shift or whatever is the best part of 80, 90 kilometers, which is more
Yeah.
than the trip there and back. So
But I'm at a school and I don't think there's any other PowerPoints outside. I think there's only this 3-phase.
yeah,
one.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. No worries. No, that's cool. So yeah, just take a photo if you like and just text it to me or give me a ring or both.
Thanks.
And I'll let you know straight away. Look, the cost is $175 from that one place. I don't recall if I didn't bother to look if that was including freight or not. I think some of these companies do include freight. I think if we add it to a cart, I think
Oh, it doesn't matter. It's neither
It
here
doesn't
nor
matter. It
there.
might. I think some of these do include freight. So
Yeah.
If you need one straight away, Empower Solar have usually got them in stock now in Canning Vale.
Okay.
how much are they, Damo?
I think 198.
Oh, geez.
Right. So
Oh, yeah.
just maybe have a look at EV chargers to see if it's freight included. In fact,
Yeah.
I will actually just go and have a look at my
Oh, that's
cart
right.
just to see freight.
I'm not absolutely desperate for it at the moment, but I tell you
Yep.
what, I live at Peaceful Bay and this is in Walpole and I've got a sister that lives in Manjimup and at the moment it's really hard for me to get from Peaceful to Manjimup and back to Peaceful without charging somewhere.
Gotcha. So okay, the
Yeah.
flat fee is $10. So
Oh, that's
it's $185.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, at least this while I'll be able to go to Manjimup and come back and at least charge up at Walpole at the school.
Yeah, well, don't forget that Walpole is actually going to get a
Oh, I know.
WA EV network fast DC charger right near that awesome park that
I drive
was
past it every morning and I look to see, have they done anything else yet?
So if
Well,
you
one
see
day-
any changes, please make sure to report them. So we know.
Absolutely. And I'm
if we
waiting
drive
for the
there.
one in Manjimup so I can go and visit my sister. 'Cause at the moment, yeah, I'm a bit nervous about driving all the way there and all the way back without being able to charge anywhere.
Do you drive through Pemberton?
No,
Oh, okay. I thought you might have.
no. No,
Well,
that's on
as
the main
Sandra
road.
Jury was saying, that is coming soon. Over the next
Yes.
couple of months, they will be
Yes.
done,
Yes,
and it's going to get just that much easier, which is
and
going to
that'll
be
get
awesome.
rid of my range anxiety.
Well, the thing is, Michelle, all you need to do is you go into your car and you navigate to where you're going to go. And then, in fact, if you actually scroll, you know, where it shows the details, like which turns are which and whatever, and it'll show you at what battery percentage you'll be when you get to the destination. If you scroll up a little bit more, you will actually see, it'll tell you how much you'll have on your return trip.
Yeah, right.
So, you know, as long as it says you're going to have, I don't know, 20% or 30% by the time you return, you don't need to be anxious.
I know,
You
but
know-
I'm still very new at this.
Yes, but the great thing about these cars is they're very accurate and they're very detailed and meticulous. The Tesla actually takes even into consideration things like elevation changes, so if you're going uphill. But the great thing about it is if you're going somewhere and coming back, then it doesn't matter if it was hilly
It'll
and
know.
which way the hills went, because whatever you lose going up a hill, you'll gain most of it going back down the hill. So you need to get used to trusting your car and just seeing what it says. And you can actually, if you experiment with the navigation system, you can actually edit the trip and you can add extra waypoints. So you can have a trip where you have a milk run where you go to several locations in like a loop or whatever, and then come back. Just make sure they're in the correct order, because otherwise the car will, you know, it'll take you from, you know, here to Jurien Bay and then down to Mandurah and then back to Perth rather than, you know,
Yeah.
some other direction or whatever. So yeah, but just get used to it and get used to the trips and just get used to trusting what your car says, because it's pretty accurate.
Yeah, Michelle,
Yes.
Sandra just put in the chat.
I just read that.
Yeah, just read that. That might be helpful for you.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. I knew that it wasn't going to be long, but that's great news. End of June.
Michelle, what Harold said about getting used to your car, just notice also how much the car uses or how efficient or inefficient it is in different conditions. So you'll notice. So what you could do is you could have your battery, let's say, at 60% at 7 o'clock in the morning on a cold winter's morning. And let's say it's a fairly warm day and it gets to 24 degrees during the day. And all of a sudden you didn't even charge the car. Now it's showing 63 or 64%. That's the battery actually telling you that at that temperature, it's actually got more capacity. So yeah, different temperatures make a difference. But the two biggest things that you'll notice will make the biggest difference is the driving conditions, so the weather, and how you drive as well. So Harold often quotes the really good rule of thumb, which is that if you drop 10% of your speed, you'll gain roughly about 14% more range to your car. So, you know, the difference, so if you know, let's say it starts raining and you hit, you know, a strong headwind, and it looks like, you know, you see your percentage going from 10 to 9 to 8, 7, 6, 5. So you just drop from 110 to 100 and you'll probably get there quite comfortably.
Yeah, right. I was paying attention to that. He was talking about that, I don't know, that it was last week or fairly recently. And so, because I drive the same trip into Walpole and back every day to school. And so I've been doing it at different speeds just to see the difference on the battery usage. Yeah. And I've noticed that just because my cruise control is set at 3 kilometres an hour over the speed limit, if I drop it back that 3 kilometres an hour, it makes a difference.
Yeah,
Sure does.
The charge in the battery, which really surprised me. I didn't think it would.
and not just the speed, but also, you know, how hard you accelerate to get to that cruising speed as well. You know,
I usually just set it on cruise control. Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, you know, when I showed this image earlier, this was me doing, you know, basically 406 kilometers, and that was into a headwind. The car said 10.1 kilometers an hour, which I think it was a bit more than that, but I don't exactly know where it got that from. But you can clearly see it is accounting for wind. But I just basically rode the glide slope all the way to, and like I said, I was a little bit annoyed that I turned up with a ridiculously 14 kilometres of wastage.
Oh my
But,
God, I don't know how you can think like that.
Well, and that even involved actually stopping at Jurien Bay and not charging. So
I just
you know,
can't
'cause we-
imagine it. I can't imagine it at this point.
But you will later, once you get
I
once you
know.
get your skills up and your confidence, and you can see what the car's doing, and you understand that to get more range, you slow down, and if you've got plenty to spend, you can speed up.
And I
And
tell
that's
you what,
what
I
you do.
wasn't that much difference to this when I first started driving around in the Pilbara and the East Kimberley in my diesel cars, worrying about where I was going to be filling up. So, you know,
Yeah, but don't
it's a
forget,
learning
Michelle.
curve.
Well, back in the 1960s, you had to drag 44-gallon drums with you
Yeah.
because, and in fact, as you've probably heard in the news last week, the police and main roads have actually given warnings to motorists in driving from the Pilbara to the Kimberley, saying that Pardue Roadhouse is out of commission, and you need to be aware of your fuel requirements.
Yeah.
Because that's one place that was a convenient service station that is no longer operational at the moment.
Well, some of the places I've been in the last 12 years, I've had to carry fuel with me. So, you know.
Well, in fact, there was a place in Western Queensland where there's a sign. It was actually an abattoir, and there was a sign that said, "Sorry, no fuel," because I think a lot of people were short of petrol when they're doing that. I forget what that is. It the Barclay Highway? I forget what that's called actually.
Yeah.
But there was a sign that said, "Sorry, no fuel," but there were actually high tension cable overhead power lines going to this facility. So if I needed to, which I didn't, but if I needed to, I could have charged my car there.
Yeah.
But if it was a petrol car, I couldn't have refueled.
No, that's right.
So, you know, it's a different paradigm. Anywhere where there's a light pole or a power point, you can charge if you have to.
Well, I'll just be very happy when we get these ones in Manjimup and the one in Walpole. Yay.
Awesome. Well, if you get there first, I'll be spewing, but otherwise you'll get there second.
I reckon I'll get there first because I've got everybody in town telling me what's going on and telling
Very
me
good.
how bad EVs are.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so over it. I'm just at the point now, it's like, you know what? I don't give a toss. My car's better than your car.
We'll have to have a Tesla event down there or something.
Oh my God, yeah, it'll
Just
do
flood
their
'em.
heads in. It'll do their heads in. I put on
You
a
get
light
50
show at
cars.
the school one night when we were having a STEM night for the kids at the school.
Oh,
So I
cool.
played the light show. That was
Fantastic.
cool. Yeah. But there
the
are still
thing-
a million naysayers out there.
The thing is, Michelle, I think these two images are really important to look at. This is Fifth Avenue in New York in the year 1900. And the circle shows the one horseless carriage amongst a sea of horses and buggies. This photo was taken in 1900. 13 years later, in 1913, in the same road, this is a sea of cars and there's one horse and buggy. That took 13 years from all of one to all of the other.
Yeah.
And that's Fifth Avenue. That was Easter in 1913.
Wow.
And that's what's going to happen pretty much with petrol cars and EVs.
Yeah.
By the end of this decade, yes, there'll be a lot of them around because people can Sunday drive in their classic cars or whatever, but all the new cars will be electric, not because you're forced to, but because it's the best technology and it's cheaper.
Yep.
It's already cheaper now with all costs considered, but later on it will be absolutely cheaper at every level.
Yeah. Hey, that's another thing I'm wondering. I love the fact that I haven't not spent a single cent on getting to school and back since February. but I charge my car every night when I get home. And I haven't had a power bill yet. Does it? I've got no idea what it's going to cost. People are going to keep saying to me, "Oh, you know, and how much does it cost to charge it?"
A good rule of thumb is if you're charging at home, I presume you'll be on the Synergy A1 tariff.
Yeah.
So yeah, you'll be paying about a quarter of what you would pay for petrol. So your electricity costs will be roughly about a quarter of what you would pay at the service station. But you do have the option to obviously put solar on as well.
Well, I have solar, and I try to charge just during the days. But
sorry, this is a little banner from Budget Direct, and this is comparing a Kona Electric and a Kona N-Line, which is the petrol version, and you can see there it's a quarter. So
Wow.
for every 100 Ks, $2.84 if you're paying with the grid power, as opposed to $10.40 with petrol.
Yeah.
Don't forget, when you get your new cable, you can charge a school and cost you nothing.
I know, right?
Charge
I
during the
know.
day and drive home. Only charge at school, not at home. So it'd be free.
Absolutely, that's the plan.
That's it.
So if you put together the solar, charging off solar and charging at school, and the fact that you'll have minimal, if any, maintenance. So Tesla on your car only really recommends doing 3 things in WA, and that's rotating the tyres once every 10,000 kilometres. Tesla charges $59 for that. They also recommend checking the brake fluid for mainly moisture. They'll charge you a whopping $24 for that. Or you can buy your own little pen from Amazon and do it yourself, and that pen will cost you about $15, and it will take about 2 minutes. And they also recommend that once every 3 years you change out the HEPA filter in the cabin. So you don't strictly need to do it, right on 3 years. You can do it 4 years later. But yeah, that will cost you roughly about $80-90, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Pete, I learned something new the other day, actually, at Osborne Park. I had my tyres rotated, and he was saying 7,000 kilometres rotating for spirited driving. So I said, "Oh, I'll see you in 7,000 Ks then."
I don't even bother.
That's actually a good point, Michelle. So you're probably driving on a lot of rough roads. So you might want to think about doing that between 7 and 10,000 K.
Yeah.
But, Damo drives on extra smooth roads, but he just, for some reason, just has a bit more friction between his rubber and the bitumen.
Yeah. After 54,000 kilometres, I had my first tyre rotation just to wear out front and back. It's not necessary if you don't want to.
Exactly.
I reckon.
Well, I always rotate my tyres when I take them for a drive. They rotate quite a lot as you're driving along.
Yeah, exactly.
At least they're not square.
I just replaced the whole lot. Be done with it.
Exactly.
Another thing that stresses me out with this car is not having a spare tyre.
You'll be fine.
Michelle, in my whole driving career of, 30 years plus and a bit, I never ever had a catastrophic flat until about 18 months ago when I ran over something on the freeway because I couldn't see it because there was a car in front, and my tyre went from full to flat in about 1,200 metres.
Yeah.
And that's happened once. So every other time you get like a slow tech screw leak, which you can just plug it and move on, or you just keep pumping it up. I had in my old Model Y, I had a big tech screw, like a roof screw in it. I found out that 2 days before I went on a 1 month holiday to Europe. So I just left the car as it was and thinking that it'd be on its rim by the time I got home, and didn't lose a single PSI.
Oh,
and
wow.
I drove it for another week or so before I had to go to Geraldton and sheepishly got it fixed. So most of the time you don't need a spare, but if you're for you, you already are away from Perth, unfortunately, but for most other people here or watching on YouTube, if you're a club member, you do get to borrow a spare wheel for free for road trips. But I guess I dare say for you, Michelle, every day's a road trip, sort of. But
Pretty much.
you can get. There are options. You can just go and buy a wheel, a full-size wheel, or get one of the skinny spares. Modern Spares in the US have them, and I forget the Australian company that has them as well. That is a bit cheaper. If anyone can.
Apparently, the Australian company, by the time it's landed in Perth, there isn't a huge difference. It's only like $100, $200 difference. Is that correct?
So it's about $1,200 for a skinny spare in a bag, and it has the jack, the wheel brace, everything in it. So, or another very practical thing is if you go somewhere like Super Cheap Auto, and you can just buy those tire repair kits.
Is that the stuff that you put in it?
Yes, and
I've
it
thought
is
about that.
absolutely intended for temporary use. And on my previous Model X, I temporarily put a slug in and then proceeded to drive the car 30,000 kilometers on that temporary slug.
Yeah.
And in fact, it kept on working on Richard's car, which he bought off me, until he replaced the tires. Here's the one of them.
Yep.
It's less than $50, and it's got like an unvulcanized slug, and you can see that you just sort of place it in the tire. It is intended for like an emergency, repair, and you should go at reasonable speed and go straight to a tire repair place and get it done properly. But the one on the car I had worked for more than 30,000 Ks as a temporary.
I can't really see me sitting on the side of the road doing that to get my car going anyway.
You'd be surprised. Sarah, I forget Sarah's surname, but anyway, Sarah, who is also known as Atto Girl, drove across from Perth to Sydney, and on the way back near Southern Cross, I think it was, got actually quite a nasty hole in her tire, and she had to put two slugs in to get it fixed, and she did that herself.
Yeah, right.
On the side of the road.
I'm not doubting that I can do it. I'm sure I could do it, but I'm a bit lazy these days. I'm never in that much of a rush.
But yeah, so pick your poison. You can just either, bite the bullet and buy yourself a skinny spare. But you probably find as you keep getting used to not having one, it'll just be okay.
Yeah, I bought the car secondhand, and it's got dodgy different wheels on it. They're not. Well, no, not really dodgy. I shouldn't say that. It's been done correctly, but they're not the original wheels. And I actually think that the front and the rear are different sizes. Yeah, I know, but those damn things, Tesla have never got any. They're always out of stock.
Let's have a look. Are they in stock at the moment? Looks like they are.
Oh, God. I was looking at this about 2 days ago and they didn't have any.
Yeah, okay. Unless I was in the US store, that's just.
Oh, man, if they've got some, I'll buy one because it'll just make me feel better.
Looks like I'm in the US store for some reason. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe you're right.
Yeah, because I've had mine for almost 4 years sitting in the trunk. So.
Oh, look, I know this, but just where I've been living for the last 10 years, like I've had 2 spares. Mind you, I've owned Hiluxes and troop carriers, but I've needed to have 2 spares at any one time.
Yeah.
And I know it's highly unlikely down here that the same sort of shit's going to happen, but,
Just for, if anyone else was listening, just with those repair kits, just one tip. One of the tools that they don't include is a pair of pliers, and you really need a pair of pliers if you have a nail or a screw in your tire, because you need something to be able to pull that object out of the tire, and your fingers just aren't going to do it. So they don't include any pliers in those. So I actually bought from Bunnings just a tiny little set that actually fits inside that plastic box. So I just keep a couple of those in there for that reason.
Yeah.
Depends where you buy your kit. Mine's got pliers included. I think it was
mine
the
does
four-wheel
too.
drive shop.
Yeah.
Anyway, whichever the four-wheel drive. They've got good handles too for pulling and pushing into the tyre.
Yeah, that's
but they come with pliers and they're good.
Yeah, I got a
By the
four-wheel
way-
drive set from Autobarn. And it's
By the
got
way,
pliers
the
in it.
tyre repair kit, the compressor is in stock
Yay.
Ah,
in the
yeah.
Australian shop.
Oh,
There you
good.
go.
Cool.
The pump's actually good to have because a lot of the service stations these days, the compressors don't work or they don't have them. Most of the ones around near me don't have them anymore.
No, and I never trust them to read correctly.
I've got a cordless one, like battery operated one in the car, just in case.
I've got one of those Easy Jacks, but it's a bit big to lug around in the back of the Tesla.
Sorry, yes, absolutely. Alrighty. Has anyone else got any other questions or comments? We've obviously got to do the federal government plan to have a plan. So we could
Did you-
either start.
Oh, sorry, is that someone new on
Go,
the
Paul.
talk?
No, go on, Paul.
Oh, I was just saying, did anyone see that spy shot of the Cybertruck front? You know, like
Oh,
it
yes.
actually been open. So it was like I was
Yes.
right. That it's more like a Ford F1, Ford Lightning or something. So I'm pretty excited about that. More space.
Yeah, I'm just going to bring that up. Yeah, it's
Okay,
good because it means that you've got that cavernous sort of front-loading space that you don't have to sort of lift your stuff over
Lift up in,
because
yeah, just
it's
straight in.
it's quite high in the front. I'm just trying to get that image now. I
just put
sort of 2 seconds. There is a bit of Cybertruck stuff. Oh, here we go.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
It's the Mega Frunk, they call it.
Yeah.
There it is. It was actually it was tweeted out, I think, from a video. So there it is right there. So you can actually see that it goes up there and then it's got the actual front part, which is pretty cool. That was actually while it was being set up for the wind tunnel test. And the wind tunnel test also showed the way that the wipers, the mono wiper works, which was also pretty cool. And I've just killed what I was going to look at. 2 seconds.
And I think that wiper test has confirmed what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, that they'll have to have it on the other side for right-hand drive.
Oh yeah, of course. That was always that's always the case. I think most cars that have got sort of that kind of wiper arrangement have asymmetrical left-hand drive, right-hand drive arrangements. That's just what they do. I'm just trying to find the video. I think it was Met God in Wilderness that had the best version of it. Just trying to find it now. Oh, there we go. No, it was Brad Sloan. 2 seconds. Yes, this is courtesy of Brad Sloan.
Pretty good.
There we go.
It's huge,
And
isn't it?
It puts paid to people whinging that it doesn't cover the 80% coverage, because if you think about it, where it is, right there, right here, that's actually now covering the camera. And you know that all the cars have what's called the AS1 line.
Yeah.
So every single windscreen has this little A and then like an upside down T with S1, and that's a standard that says where the actual windscreen starts, and anything above that line you can tint, you can put stickers on, you can do whatever you like with it. And obviously the 80% requirement is anything below that line that's in and also above your dash, or sort of above what plunges to not being visible. So this is actually showing it's wiping over most of the windscreen. And the interesting thing too is it's not articulating. So in other words, it's not lengthening or shortening, which some wipers can do with complex arrangements. So it's it's adequate.
Yep.
And awesome. And we just need to hurry up, Elon.
Yeah.
And look, and let's also hope that
Dude,
to
where's my
speed
car?
things, well, that's right, to speed things along. Oh, where did I put it? Oh, here we go. To speed things along, let's hope that we haven't got something like this, because you know how the Model S and X is much delayed because this is the Plaid Model S, and it only has one hole for the steering wheel and for the brake pedal arrangement, and it hasn't got the other one on the other side. The Model Ys have a symmetrical bulkhead. So let's hope that the Cybertruck, when Sandy Munro does tear it down, which he will, obviously, let's hope that we see these two arrangements so that we then know that the Cybertruck can come to Australia sooner. You know, whereas, you know, it hasn't yet come to Australia because of this issue with a asymmetrical bulkhead. So we really want the Cybertruck to be delivered to Sandy Munro as soon as possible, so you can have a look inside. But anyway, I guess we should talk about the bit of news, because there's been quite a few tweets. Like, so for example, Chris Bowen has tweeted that on average, the cars sold in Australia emit 40% more CO2 than Europe, and 20% more than the US, and 15% more than New Zealand. So it looks like the federal government has got a plan to address that. And that plan is titled the
National EV Strategy.
National EV Strategy. And
by the time they work out their strategies, they can have chargers in.
Yeah.
Yes, and the only part that I read that I was actually interested in at all is page 5. It's been repeated a couple of times, but in page 5, they have promised a national network of 117 EV chargers on major highways at an average interval of 150 kilometres. Interestingly, it says delivered in partnership with the NRMA. So that's the only thing I care about.
But truly national or just national East Coast?
Yeah,
well, that's what concerned me, because the NRMA is very much based in New South Wales, although they are now also they bought out SGIO. So in that sense, they kind of, at least the insurance arm, they kind of are competitors. It's a bit strange. But if you get 100,
sorry, Harold, I think they sold the insurance, didn't they, to Australian IAG, whatever, Insurance Australia Group. I understood they sold it off. So NRMA's, while they're advertising, they must have bought the name with the insurance. I think NRMA is still strictly New South Wales.
I'm not entirely sure. Because, no, when I was getting an insurance quote for my Y, because I thought I'd do that for a laugh, when you go to sgio.com.au, it actually says something like it's NRMA. In fact,
yes,
I
the
should probably
insurance
be able to.
one for sure. I don't know if the actual service.
I thought IAG was the head business and NRMA was a business unit.
So according to SGIO's website, it asks you the question of, have you made the move to NRMA insurance? So I haven't bothered to read all of that stuff, but anyway, that's kind of what's being alleged at the moment. But in any case, it's interesting that they're using their NRMA, and I did, Steve, count up 117 stations at a rough interval of 150 kilometres, and that equals 17,550. So that is enough to basically do a figure eight network which goes around Australia and crosses the centre from Darwin to Adelaide.
The thing that worries me, Harold, is in the document they said that they wanted to encourage data sharing so that they could get the data from the chargers to see how many, to try and get an idea of the demand for chargers. And I'm thinking, okay, if you're getting that information from the charger, that means the charger is already there. So, they said, we'll get this data to know where the demand is for EV charging. I'm like, the demand for EV charging is wherever a car can go. That's where the demand for EV charging is. And if you can't see it, it's probably because there isn't a charger there. But
what that means is there's no established demand in the bush because there are no chargers to give you the data to establish demand. So that's kind of a catch-22, isn't it? And that's one benefit of the WA EV network is I think more and more Teslas will do country trips, and that will give Tesla the heat map data that it needs to mount a business case to put superchargers around the place. So that's maybe one of the side benefits. But you're right, Pete. I mean, but the thing is, they did say a national network, and let's hope they don't do trickery and go, well, since WA has already built one and New South Wales have built one, that we'll just declare victory and say job's done. This needs to be 117 new chargers, and we need a proportion of those.
Hey, Harold, just scroll up in that document. So there's a schematic. The first one of those images.
Yep.
Yes. So go down a bit. Yep. Sorry, no, that's not it. So maybe the
I'll tell you what I'll do, Pete. You go and have a look on your thing, and you tell me which one to scroll to. Otherwise, we'll be playing scroll the screen. Or do you mean the one where it's a big? Is it the big one like this, the new initiative? So
that's the one. Yeah. So have a look. So you notice the triangles on the left. The white ones that are filled in is new
initiatives.
And if you have a look halfway through systems and infrastructure, national network of 117, that is not a new triangle. So
So that one, Pete, to explain that one was an election promise that was made by the ALP prior to the last election.
Correct.
So I guess what they're saying is that's because, for instance, what's new, and this is not an election promise, is developing the fuel efficiency standard for new light vehicles. So I guess what they're saying is this is an unpromised or unheralded initiative, and the same as preparing for recycling. So, and then
what I'm trying to say is, to your point that you were making before, where you said let's just hope they're not going to declare victory by just stringing together the state networks. They can refer to that and say, well, we've never said that it would be 117 new EV chargers. We clearly in that schematic showed you that this is, already it's not a new,
Yeah, you're right. So in fact, it's interesting because I have the two lines sequentially. 117 charges, 150 kilometres, and then state and territory EV, blah, blah, infrastructure and charging investments, like the WA government's investment to install almost 100 charging stations at 49 locations. So, but let's hope that clearly that these 117 have to be on top of. I mean, and let's hope they don't be stupid and do it next to, but instead do it to augment further locations such as the Great Northern Highway, or as you spoke to on the Channel 7 news article, versions, the second, third and fourth iterations, stage 2, stage 3 and stage 4 of the WA EV network. You know,
Yeah.
up Great Northern Highway. You know, even into the Pilbara and deep into parts of the Kimberley where there's some tourist zones, Karajini, and all that sort of stuff needs to be done.
Did anyone see Gundagai over Easter? There must be 10. I suspect there's 10 chargers there. You got about, I think it's 5 or 6 Tesla and 3 or 4 NRMA. They were all chockers, and there was a line up out through the restaurant. And they've got good chargers.
At Oliver's, yes.
Yeah. So there's massive demand there, and we've got 2 or 3 if we're lucky. So I think
Yes.
the demand is massive, and that's New South Wales, which has got more than we have, but we've still got to have the chargers.
Absolutely. And they've got to be working.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I think Sandra has emphasised that point. I think she's right on top of it, which is great.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, now I've just realised that Richard Cooper is with us from. I think he was at Athens the other day. There he is right now, enjoying the sunny morning. It's afternoon in Greece. Oh, he's cruising again. He's cruising on the Adriatic. And yeah, Richard, I can tell you that I'm excited too to pick up your car at 10 a.m. sharp. It'll be some flattering lighting because we'll be in a partial eclipse by then, or it'll be just starting. So if your car looks a bit dark, it's okay. The paint's not affected. It's just a bit dark when I collect it. And I'll promise I'll be taking it relatively directly to wherever it was you were getting me to take it to, the detailing place. I mean, look, I reckon a 50k detour is reasonable, you know, from one location.
Go as far as you like, mate. Go as far as you like. Just enjoy it.
I promise to take lots of photos, and I'll send them to you, Richard. So when you wake up in the morning, you'll be able to see them. But it's awesome. Everything's all good, and it's going to be an awesome colour blue. My wife's got a colour just like yours, so it's going to be lovely with the white interior. So yeah.
My neighbour's not even going to know I've changed cars because it's the same thing.
They'll just think that your car got taller somehow, and you'll go, "Yep, that's
right.
how awesome Teslas are. They even get taller for you."
Oh my God, my car's pregnant.
You could make a lot of money if you get a pregnant car, Richard. Imagine that if they could pop a new Tesla baby every now and then.
Yeah, it's the opposite. I've got 5 kids. It cost me, I think.
That's it.
I'll shut up now. It's a bit loud on the boat. So yeah, thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it.
No worries. Cheers. Take care. Alrighty. So back to this awesome government thing. Are there any other highlights that sort of jumped out at you with the 30-odd pages that you read, Pete?
Oh, it's more what wasn't in it rather than what was. I mean, the timing's a little bit disappointing. So they're hoping to have something to put before Parliament by next year. So there's another, 7 month delay, which is very disappointing. There was the absence of any incentives for EVs to try and level the playing field between, the billions of dollars that the fossil fuel lobby gets, the fossil fuel industry gets. So,
I don't think we should worry about subsidies, particularly for electric vehicles. Maybe we should worry about taking subsidies off existing fuel, but we shouldn't be looking at incentives for electric vehicles. They've got to stand on their own 2 feet, I think.
I completely agree with you, Pete. I think there shouldn't be any incentives whatsoever, but there needs to be a level playing field. So there shouldn't be any incentive for fossil fuel. But because it's politically unfeasible to take away the incentives from fossil fuels because they're so entrenched, and there's big vested interests with deep pockets, then the only other way to make it a level playing field is to introduce incentives for EVs. But
well, there won't be EV incentives because they're just about bankrupt now. They're throwing money at everything to have an inquiry. They don't do any work with it. I can't see there'll be any incentives for electric vehicles. They just can't afford it.
Yeah. Well, they can. They can. There's
Not the way they're
average
throwing money around.
Well, the average Australian taxpayer pays over $3,000 every year towards fossil fuel subsidies. So that's 60 grand over a 10-year period for a 2 taxpayer household. So, I mean, if you need to find some money, well, when you start there, there's.
I agree that's where it should start, but we keep it level and no one should get incentives.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. So, let's start taking away from fossil fuels. I mean, why are we, effectively taxing vegetables and subsidizing, nicotine? I mean, that's effectively what we're doing with cars. It's just back front, side down. So, but anyway, so that was a bit disappointing. A couple of things that jumped out at me. So they're comparing statistics, I think, across the one page. It's a little bit further into the document, but they've got the statistics of the percentage of new cars that are EVs, and they show that worldwide as 9%. They show UK at 15%, US at 4.5%, etc. And then they show Australia at 3.88%. The problem is they're actually comparing 2022 figures for Australia and 2021 figures for everyone else. So it's, and they're comparing it as a like for like. So the situation is actually a lot worse than they're making it out to be. So.
Sorry, which page is that on, Pete? Sorry.
I'll see if I can find it. So just maybe just go.
It wasn't that one, was it?
That's it. That's the one there, right there.
Yeah, gotcha.
So you can see the world at 9%. You can see Australia at 3.8, which is the EVC figures from last year, which was 3.88%. And UK at 15 and Europe at 17. So all those figures, the world, UK and Europe, are 2021 figures, and Australia is 3.8%. That's 2022 figures. So, and then they put it all on the one slide. It's just, I mean, in 2021, we were closer to, because the 3.8%, that was an 86% increase from 21. So if we take, I don't know, so we would have been, 2%. So
Yes.
you really should say Australia 2%, not, close to 4% versus the world 9% and so on. So, that just jumped out at me when I was having a quick look.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing too is, I mean, Tesla is doing some massive lifting. Its number one intent this year is to just continue to increase the number of cars coming into Australia. So, this plan might start looking quite fruitful and good, even though the government does nothing whatsoever, because Tesla's doing a lot of the heavy lifting and getting supply. And it's probably the only company, apart from maybe BYD, that has any meaningful supply coming into Australia.
And it's the only company that's actually putting in their own chargers. So in any sort of meaningful volume.
And in the last quarter of last year, it increased Western Australia's entire fleet by 25% in 3 months.
Yeah, with one charger, that is. But
and this year it's just going to just make that look small.
And that wasn't 25%; that was 33%, wasn't it?
Oh no, I think it was 26. Oh, I can't remember. 28, 20 something. Actually, I do remember, because I've got the thing here. It is. They went from 3,412 to 4,302. No, it's 26%, Pete.
Yeah. Okay.
26% in a quarter. So that was, sorry, the left column here is the September 22 quarter, and the right column is the December 2022 column. Which is why there are now about 7,000 EVs in WA and about 5,000, over 5,000, sorry, and over 5,000 in WA, which Peter Ship has got the 5,000th Tesla hits WA.
Yes.
Or was that the Tesla that hit the back of that vehicle in Bull Creek or Burragoon?
I didn't see that. Didn't see it.
It's somewhere on.
Wasn't that disappointing to see that on the news?
Which channel?
Yes, when Pete sent me
Just
that
check.
article, when Pete sent me that article of, you know, a Tesla has hit the back of someone's car, I then said, in other news, 30 ICE cars have hit the back of another car today, and that didn't make it in the news.
But that was today, and then maybe 200 cars this week, and maybe 800 cars last month, and maybe 8,000 cars last year, and we never saw any of those on the news. So
it's disappointing seeing all the comments on that kind of video. People just assume that Tesla is like this automatic driving car that just is so safe. It is a safe car and it has a lot of features on it, but you can disable a lot of stuff. And if you drive along, you have your foot on the accelerator, it ain't going to break.
That's right.
you can override any of it, and if you really want to, you can try and commit a murder-suicide with your wife next to you and 2 children in the back. You can do whatever you want with the car. But
that's normal news, Pete. It's a Tesla, so they play it.
Richard, you've got a pink logo on your t-shirt, or is it a light? Is it pink or white?
It's this company called Tesla. You may not have ever heard of them.
Now, what color is it?
But is it pink or white lettering?
It's red.
Red.
A bit of lighting in here.
Or maybe you just mixed up your whites and your colours.
Does it show which way round? Does it show up?
Correctly, it shows correctly for us.
But it looks
okay, it
pink.
doesn't for me.
It looks pink, and I saw a pink car that color, the color that I'm seeing.
I'm cool with pink.
Looks burnt orange to me.
It was musk pink, if you guys know what musk pink is like.
Right.
I bet you Michelle knows what musk pink is.
I know what musk pink's like.
Yeah.
Right, this is pink. How well does that compare?
No, that looks yellow.
Oh.
Yeah, you got your white balance is a bit off on your camera.
Life.
Oh, okay. How do I fix it?
How do I fix it?
So this is musk pink.
Sort of, yeah. No, it's more
Well,
like
actually,
that one. Next door.
Well, there's a musk
Next door
stick.
to the
and that-
blue. Yeah, okay. Max sticks, yeah.
Yeah,
It was
musk
that
sticks.
color. It was that color.
Yeah.
Very
So there you go.
I don't know how I sort out white balance on here.
Oh no, it's just your lighting. It'd be too hard, Richard, to do that. You'd probably look weird then.
Even weird.
I thought it might have
Anyway.
been a new one for Alice, and maybe she had it rewrapped.
Yeah, it looks black now, Richard, so we can't see it.
Even better, so do I.
Alrighty. So has anyone got any other news bits or anything this week? Anything that you've done that we haven't seen or known of?
I've got a question actually.
Yes, Matt.
So basically after 10 months, I picked up my my car, Model Y Performance, and yesterday morning at 10 o'clock, and I'm loving it. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, really great car. Few things I'm just finding it strange on my phone. I keep on getting the notification comes up like disconnected, and I'm just wondering if you know why. It's almost like when I've left the car and it's, you know, like asleep that it should be, but then I get this notification come up.
What I found with mine is that when I've used the key card,
yeah,
then my phone says disconnected, and I have to. But once you go in the car, your phone connects again.
Yeah.
But
And
sometimes
like
you have to use the card.
Yeah, and it's like the phone's working perfectly. My wife's phone's working perfectly, but I've just randomly, after the car's been parked in the garage, it just comes up on the phone, you know, as a notification, like disconnected. And I could disable notifications, but I certainly don't want to do that because there's, you know, could be important ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, Matt. I haven't had that on mine.
I've had it a few times.
Maybe if you do you use your key card, your proximity card, Matt, your RFID card, or just your phone?
Sort of initially, like today, we thought we had set it up on my wife's phone and it wasn't working, so I just said to, you know, use the card. So we have been using it, you know, we only you know, picked it up yesterday, so we're still a bit new, but certainly now my wife says all good now and mine is all good, you know, like every time I walk to the car it's perfectly unlocks it. Yeah, just, you know, we have been using the cards like initially, but I just keep on getting this notification, you know, and it comes up like connected.
Matt, I'm just wondering whether it's your phone, whether it's trying to conserve energy and it's turning your Bluetooth off.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and I did look because I know there is, like, you know, on the apps there's what is it, like battery restrictions and stuff, and I checked everything on that and it had, you know, full access for Wi-Fi. The battery restrictions were unrestricted.
Okay.
So
What
does it actually mean? You know, connected and disconnected. What does it really mean?
No idea, to be
what
honest.
it means with mine is that when it says the phone is disconnected, it will only work with a card. And so I go back into the car with a card, and then I make sure that I connect the phone, just check the Bluetooth, that they're both on. So if you've turned the Bluetooth off for whatever reason, but it's happened to me a few times. And each time I go back and the car will ask for the card. You put the card in, then connect the phone and make sure Bluetooth is on in the car and in the phone. And then it works on Bluetooth for quite some time.
Yeah. It's almost like when I'm going out of Bluetooth range, that's, you know, only 10 meters, it's almost like then it's coming on, and, you know, that makes no sense having that notification.
Have you got an Android or an iPhone?
Yeah, it's an Android.
Okay, so
I have an iPhone.
On the TMC forum, I just Googled it. They're suggesting to go under the settings under your Tesla app and turn off battery optimization.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
yeah, no.
Which would suggest that battery optimization just means that it's conserving the battery on your phone and turning off Bluetooth, and hence why you're probably getting that.
You're actually, you're right. Yeah, because it's actually optimized at the moment and it should be unrestricted. So, yeah, I thought I did change that, but that does seem to be probably the problem. No, thank you.
No
Thanks
worries.
for that. And the other question, just more of interest. It was quite interesting. Just last night, it was we were driving, and it was getting, you know, it was almost dark, and I could see like almost like an orange, a blue square on the wing mirrors, and I'm just wondering. I thought first of all it was like you know, like maybe they had left some of the packing material and it would peel off, but I'm just wondering. There's like but it was not the whole of the wing mirror. It was just like a center square. And I'm just out of interest. What's You're muted.
You're muted, Harold.
Sorry about that. Is it most of it, but you've got like a clear border that goes around the darker blue sort of section?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes. So what that is the high beam automatic dimming function. So the wing mirrors, I don't know why it doesn't cover the whole of the wing mirror, but about 90% of it or 95% of it has a electrochromic coating, which then darkens automatically if you've got headlights behind you, so that you don't get blinded by headlights in your wing mirrors.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I actually find that a little bit annoying when I'm reversing my car, because I'll have the garage light on, and yeah, it's quite dark, and you look at that border and you just go, oh, I wish I could peel it off. I wish I could get rid of it.
Yeah.
I wish I could just, because it's teasing you with what it could be like right there in the border.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And it was almost only just at just when it was just starting to get dark when you noticed it. Before it was, you just couldn't see it during the day, and I think even very late at night you can't see it. It was just that time where it's just these boxes appearing.
It sometimes happens too when you go into like an undercroft car park and the sun is low, or it's quite bright outside as you're going into the car park, because you've got a light sensor at the front of the car which works out whether you need headlights or not, because this thing only happens when your headlights are on. So you can actually get it where your wing mirrors go dark as you're sort of going into a dark building, because behind the car it's relatively light. So yeah, it does sometimes do strange things.
Yeah, okay. And yeah, just the other thing I was going to say, I was very surprised I was very concerned with the suspension on the performance, and I'm very surprised. I think Tesla have done an amazing job. My tire pressures are 44 cold, and yeah, it's just very, very smooth.
Yep. Sure. Yep. Yeah. And I've got mine set to 50 cold, and on the way up to Gero they were really good. Really, the suspension was really, really good. As you know, they've changed part numbers for these performance cars.
Yes.
I think it's mainly the shockies, and they've changed the damping rate, and it's done the job. It really is good.
Yeah. When I first walked into the delivery center, seeing the performance Y for the first time and all these huge, that was the first thing I noticed, was the 21-inch wheels with the thin profile tires, but no, it's great. Really, really good. Very impressed. Love the car. There's nothing wrong with it at all. It's just it's a transitional step. It really is. Yeah.
What color did you get, Matt?
I don't know if you recall, I was asking advice, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. I changed so many times. I started at white, and I ended up going to red, and then to grey, and I ended up going back to white. And yeah, I'm actually really pleased, because it is, seeing it up close, it is a real, you can see the pearl, the metallic-y color in the white. And yeah, so I think pretty happy with the decision. It's good.
Awesome. And the interior, did you go black or did you go white?
Yeah, I would have loved white, but just having two boys, yeah, went for the easy option, the black.
I must admit, I've got white, and it's, oh Jesus, white. It's the first time I've sat in a white car, or a white interior, and all I could see was the left-hand seat, into like to the left of me, just yelling, screaming at me, like it was this huge white object just yelling at me. But I've kind of got used to it now, so it's all good.
Yeah, I think the white's really futuristic as well. When you sit in the white, it's really pretty amazing. But yeah, maybe next time when the kids are a bit older, I go for the white.
Well, when you get your second car, because all good Tesla families start with one and then go for the two, and then that's it, they're done. So you never know there, Matt.
Yeah, we've actually we've gone to a one car family. because I work in the city, so I ride or get the train. So yeah, no, for 6 months we've been a one petrol car family, and now we're going to be just a one electric car family. It'll be awesome.
Awesome. Oh, congratulations! And have you noticed the not too shabby acceleration?
Oh yeah, it's just mind blowing. It really is. And it's just great having it there. You don't use it 90% of the time, but yeah, it's just.
It's very good at the lights.
Yeah. Yes.
Very.
Yeah, I get a headache when I put the foot down. It's just so much G-force. It's phenomenal.
It sure is. I mean, there are YouTube videos where people have like cheesels or twisties or whatever, and they basically play the game of throwing it upwards, stabbing the accelerator, and of course the twisty or the cheesel is in free fall going upwards and downwards in one direction, but the car lurches forward so that the twisty ends up in the mouth of the person who's sitting in the middle of the back seats. It's quite hilarious. I don't know if I can find that video in the 5 seconds I'm going to give myself, but I have seen it in the past. I might try and spool it up as like a favorite or something for another time. But yeah, it's really funny.
Yeah, I think there's another one with a mobile phone I've seen where someone's held a mobile phone and accelerated on, and it's just sat there on the chair with the G-force for a few seconds.
Yes. Yeah, it's just awesome. It really is. No, I don't think I'm going to be able to find it in. Yeah, I'm going to have to leave that as homework, but it is hilarious. And even just hilarious watching some of the launch videos, where people just completely freak out.
Yep.
But it's great fun. But yeah, congratulations. Just enjoy your car.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
It really is an awesome machine.
Yeah.
They get better every day. They're fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. They really do. And we're only just one software upgrade to a new feature that we've never thought of or had. I mean, now you can participate on Ask Us Anything, via Zoom in your car. You know, and that's something
what
that
I'm
none of us
doing now.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Right.
On the video on it's.
There you go.
A bit dark in here, but yeah, that's. I'm in the car now.
Yeah, if you just pull down the sun visor, what do you call it? The sun visor, because you have the courtesy light in it. That'll turn on.
Yeah. Oh,
there
wow,
you go.
it is dark.
Yeah.
The video is really dark, isn't it?
Yeah. Or you can also turn, if you look where the at the middle of the windscreen at the top where the camera is, you'll see the two interior lights, and you can just turn them on manually by pushing them.
Yeah, they're actually on. Yeah, they're actually
Oh,
on.
right, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it is a bit dark.
Yeah, very dark.
But it does work, and it's. I mean, that was a feature that only happened a couple of weeks ago, and it didn't cost anyone any money.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. But yeah, definitely enjoy your car. Yeah, I must admit, I was on Leach Highway, and I did enjoy being able to go from 0 to 70 in, I don't know what it was, 2.5 seconds, not even. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are great machines. All righty. No worries, Matt. Take care, mate. All right. Any last sort of drinks we might? It's been a bit of a long week for a few of us. Pete and Rob. Well, Rob's not here, but Pete in particular. We went up to Jarrow and back and did all that sort of stuff and pressed flesh and well, Pete. I mean, you probably sold about 40 cars.
I didn't
Checks in
sell
the
one.
mail.
I didn't sell one. They sold themselves.
Well, that's right. That is true. And isn't it funny how you don't have to actually convince anyone of anything? They already want to know. They
You just give them the information. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And the level of acceptance and eagerness to adopt these things Yeah, you know, and you didn't get that 5 years ago. 5 years ago, people laughed at you and went, "Oh, these strange exotic things," and now everyone wants one.
A lot of the
Didn't
kids
get that
switched on
2
in
years ago.
particular.
Oh,
A lot
sorry,
of
go
the-
Peter Ship.
A lot of the kids have switched on. They see the car and they come up and say, "Oh, is that a Tesla?" And they're
Yep.
very knowledgeable on them too, and they often bring their parents or So that in itself, I think, is quite an attraction. It's good to see them interested.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and I know at schools they actually do, as part of their science courses, talk about sustainability, and they often talk about Elon Musk as an entrepreneur and Nikola Tesla. So they do actually. The kids are also formally aware as well at many schools that of what's going on.
I've taken my car to a couple of schools for my grandkids because they were talking about it.
Yep.
Well, I'd never heard of Nikola Tesla until Tesla came out, and all of a sudden he is being presented at schools because his innovations were unbelievable and still are. And it's good that it's actually taught, because in my day he certainly wasn't mentioned. I think it's fabulous to have that recognition now at last.
Yes.
Well, it's funny because he was sort of shunned, and there's a great movie. I don't know if it's on Netflix, called The Current Wars, and it's a movie about the fight between Edison and Tesla, or Edison/Westinghouse.
Yeah.
And of course that was a fight between direct current and alternating current. And I think it was Edison that actually effectively invented electrocution as a form of execution, because it looked gory and it was better performed with alternating current than it was with direct current. And he was trying to basically have a propaganda campaign against alternating current. And of course, we all know how that went. Alternating current won. And it was Nikola Tesla that basically invented the induction motor and basically invented three-phase power. So, and many other things.
His work was unbelievable, especially given his time. But his innovation, that still is just as applicable today, if not more so than ever. But he was way ahead of his time in what he presented.
He also is basically they've had to concede that he basically invented radio, even though Marconi is sort of credited with it. Really, Marconi just built subsections, subsystems together, and most of that was actually already done by Tesla.
By Tesla, yeah.
So yeah, brilliant individual, and it's really fitting that Elon Musk, I think they were going to call Tesla Edison or something, or I think there was some other name they were going to call it initially, and I think there was some issue, so they decided to call it Tesla, and it's just super fitting.
My word.
I mean, one thing that Elon Musk won't have is an SI unit named after him, because there is no Musk as a unit, but there is the Tesla, which is the measure for magnetic field strength. So Tesla will last forever, even if Musk doesn't. But yeah. Anyway.
Before we go, just quickly, just to point out, earnings tomorrow at earnings calls 5:30 our time.
Yeah.
And earnings will come out sometime before 4:30.
Yeah, absolutely. And Pete, I'm guessing that it's just everyone's expecting record performance all round.
Yes. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. So
it's 180.
Yeah, it's just marking time. It's just marking time.
Yeah, I think I said this last week. I think Tesla Energy will be, for the first time noticed by analysts, and the other income streams that Tesla has other than just automotive. So yeah, what will be really interesting, everyone's looking at margins for obvious reasons because of the price declines. Now, the market can see exactly what the price declines were, the price reductions, but there's perfect visibility into that, but there's no visibility into the cost reduction that Tesla has. So it'll be interesting to see if they still keep. I think it was at last earnings call where I forget who it was, whether it was the CFO who said that they expect. It was Rob Mao mentioning on the last podcast that they expect gross margins to still be above 20%.
Yep.
And average selling prices to be above 47,000 US per car. So it'll be interesting if, that is the case.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, isn't it funny? I forget, was it Fiat? One of the Fiat executives? Or was it Citroen? It was one of them that sort of was implying that, Tesla reducing its prices isn't particularly helpful to the rest of the industry. And it's like, it's just the way it is. Tesla is single-mindedly working on building the machine that builds the machine, and that's their most important product. The car is just the output of that product, and that's the thing that Tesla's refining the most. And the other car manufacturers just have no idea what's happening next.
Well, Tesla is very clear in what their mission is, and that's to accelerate the transition to renewable transport and renewable energy. So, they just want to build as many cars as they can sell. So, if that means, that they need to reduce the prices because the supply is greater now, so be it. Then, if the other car makers get caught up in that, well, that's sort of their issue and their fault for, ignoring the way the world was moving, ignoring Tesla for 10 years. So,
but they also want to make the best car and continue to improve the best car, because most cars, I think, that we're driving at the moment have improved a fair bit since we bought them.
Yeah.
No one else does that.
And all the other cars are made by committee. They're designed by committee, and then they are a hodgepodge of completely disparate subsystems that are all outsourced, with various designers and engineers effectively fighting over real estate and putting all of these different parts in silos and not cooperating. So whereas Tesla, everything is, they basically design the product, they design the factory and the product all at the same time. Everything's a flat design, singularly intended to be manufacturable, reliable, and desirable.
At scale.
And at scale that we've seen nothing yet. I mean, Tesla this year are going to hit 2 million cars per annum.
Well,
in fact, they're already on that
at
runway now.
Yeah.
But in 7 years' time, it'll be 20 million. That's 10 times today's production.
Yeah.
In 7 years.
Unbelievable.
And that's what that's not an aspiration. They have a direct path to that achievement. Which is why Tesla's going to be the world's largest company. Full stop.
What Wall Street are trying to spin. I don't think it's going to be a very plus day tomorrow. It might be a good buying day.
Yeah, I mean that's just typical shareholder buying behavior or traders' behavior.
Pushing, yeah.
Yeah,
particularly in the US.
Yep, absolutely. So, as I always say, the share market is a voting machine in the short term, but it's a weighing machine in the long term. And in the long term, Tesla's earnings, Tesla's profitability, Tesla's just sheer retained profit. I mean, they will eventually have to do this embarrassing thing of actually paying dividends, because they won't be able to build factories fast enough to spend the money, because it'll just come in too quickly. It's a big problem to have, but a nice one.
I'm a bit selfish there. I don't want the shares to go up yet. Can't afford it. I've got to wait. Yeah.
Look, Peter, I'm just looking forward to the T1000 party. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, so am I. Yeah.
And we'll even do a T500 because that's still a great achievement too. That'll still be at more than I think about twice Tesla's previous record high.
Well, yeah, unbelievable.
Of course, I should just add this.
The previous comments were general in nature and shouldn't be taken as personal professional advice. Listeners should seek their own independent assessment from a qualified advisor and not rely on the general nature of information in this program.
But anyway, alrighty, I think it might be time. It's getting late. Oh, and actually one last thing. Sorry about this. There may be a certain rocket launch tomorrow night as well to
Yes,
look
of
forward
course.
to. So I'm just going to.
Might be on the 20th of April too.
Yes, and I've got a car with a number plate that resembles that remark.
Yes,
Pete.
indeed.
So the one thing we do know is that no matter what happens, if something happens, it's going to be spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. I'm just trying to look for SpaceX, and for some reason this list has gone out of order.
They had
There
a
we go.
crack at it a couple of days ago, but apparently it was a frozen valve, so they had to abort the
At the
countdown.
40-second mark, yeah.
I
Exactly.
think they knew about 7 minutes before they knew there was an issue.
That's
And,
right.
Yeah, a few minutes before I think they just went through the countdown just for practice, but yeah.
Oh, actually, I just almost. Oh, here we go. It's live.
Bullshit.
Oh, sorry, I pressed the wrong button. I actually didn't mean to press that button, but since I didn't mean to, I might as well do it again.
Bullshit.
Well, there's always bullshit. Anyway, moving right along. This is. Oh, come on! It's live in 22 hours, so at 8:45 tomorrow.
Yep.
So that's going to be
I mean-
pretty specky.
It'll be interesting to see if Elon's on the earnings call, and if he is, it's just going to be, the man will be doing it.
Yeah, no, that's fine, Pete, because he'll just fly straight from Austin to Boca Chica, so that's no problem. And don't forget, the earnings call is in 6 hours,
8 hours.
7 hours, and this thing's in 22 hours. So no, that'll be fine. He can
But
do that.
What I mean, he'll do an earnings call and launch a rocket all on the same day, all on 69 days before his birthday.
It's because he's in the simulation.
Yes.
Or is it, Pete, that I'm actually in the simulation and all you are being simulated and I'm the only real person, or is that vice versa? I don't know.
Or maybe you are the simulation. Maybe he's the simulation.
Exactly right. Now, I think on that rather simulated note, it's probably a good time to wrap up this simulated program. So, Pete, how would you round out an awesome show like this?
As always, stay stimulated. Stay safe, stay sustainable, and stay ahead of the curve.
And the best way to do that without simulating it is buy a Tesla, join Tokwa, and ask us anything about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy.
Fantastic.
Have an awesome night, everyone. Have an awesome earnings call tomorrow and an awesome rocket launch tomorrow night. And we look forward to seeing you on next week's episode of Ask Us Anything. Good night, everyone.
Good night,
Thanks,
all.
guys. Good night.
Bye.
Thank you.